movements of the proletariat in capitalist countries.
I'm good at this. I didn't press go live, everyone.
National liberation movements in the colonies.
All right. Well, it's cool.
This
Either way.
alliance.
I've gone live now. I just
alliance of imperialists,
we're a bit late.
Comprador reactionary forces in the colonies, and all the
Okay. I did make some comments that were important before I left. So he's already gaslighting them. He's got anyone to assassinate him and try and white-splain to him. And now he's trying to do this whole big man thing. He's tried to make it seem like someone who doesn't care. And now he's trying to do this big man thing where he's sort of like white-splaining to him. He's trying to turn around.
Ah, well, I thought it was, these people, they looked at the actions of which we do, so I thought, you had a bigger media presence than me at the time, and you would have done more to do this.
Like, fucking Caleb's wealth to do things doesn't come from his media presence. It's fuck's sake, it keeps cutting out at the top end. Caleb's ability to do stuff doesn't fucking come from his media presence. Caleb's ability to do stuff comes from the fact that he's a man of great wealth already from his own family, because his father was the manager of many different charitable trusts. I keep topping out, man. What the fuck is this mic? Most of the time, you're not this fucking sensitive. Manager of a load of charitable trusts, and the motherfucker is he himself has been working for RT, which could be topping him 100,000 a year for fucking years now. He's balling it. He doesn't need the media presence on YouTube to give him money.
Countries, and will therefore inevitably put a final end to the imperialist system throughout the world. That's what I view my work as doing, trying to align the working class movement in the United States with the people around the world that are struggling against U.S. imperialism. What are you trying to do for that end, to achieve that?
What makes you think America is an ally of these things? The problem lies in what America is, what it has always been, and what, as long as it's America, what it will always be. Whatever vision of America you may or may not have with what it is that you want America to become, that is not what America is. And if that were to be achieved, it would no longer be America. It would no longer be what it is.
Okay, but I'm asking you, though, what are you trying to accomplish in aligning the liberation movements of the proletariat in the capitalist countries with the national liberation movements around the world?
To forward anti-imperialism. I don't understand what the point of your question is.
Well, my reading of that document is that those of us living in Western capitalist countries like Britain or France or the United States or Canada,
yes, I get that part.
Yes,
but I don't understand how
to align the working people of this country with the national liberation movements. And I'm just asking, what are you doing toward that end, or do you not think that's a good thing to do?
It's funny how this has turned into a criticism, and I will answer your question. I will answer your question. It's interesting that you wanted to talk about my quote unquote childish
we'll get
things
to that.
About you. Yeah, it'd be great if you actually did get to that instead of trying to turn it into something where you grill me. This goes back to your fraudulent accusation that you made against me at the beginning of all this, saying that I was pro-imperialist. It was the last message I sent you on Facebook before you blocked me. You said that I was pro-imperialist, and I called you out to a debate, and then you hid for a year.
Okay, well,
but to answer your question, I think
this is very related. Actually, that's why.
Look, he's been a fucking gaslighting little bitch. He doesn't like the fact that Jason just told him as it is. He's full of shit.
We're talking about what it means to be an imperialist in the Western countries.
I think I know. It's the very center of everything that I do. It's the first and foremost and primary contradiction.
So let's talk about it.
No, actually, your thing is about America. That's why you're a patriot.
Talk about that,
and that's why you don't support revolutionary suicide.
Okay, all right. So
exactly.
Answer my question, please.
What are you allying myself and pushing the
Caleb's getting a bit annoyed. He does not like the fact that Jason just took the stage to tell him he's full of shit.
I'm answering it right now.
Okay.
By pushing the idea of anti-imperialism and not supporting the substance of what America is, not just what America in the
Also, not supporting alt-imperialism over in the East.
form that it takes, but the very substance, the very soul of what it is and what it was founded upon, opposing that, to push an anti-war sentiment, a real one, not a, Trump thought we shouldn't go to war, but it's nonsense because it still went on. Regardless, by pushing the anti-war sentiment, the anti-imperialism, by allowing people to see what the damage that's done by imperialism, and more importantly, to have them understand why imperialism is a natural product of capitalism and why it can only ever be something that it produces. There's no way getting around it.
Well, I mean, as far as Trump, I called out Trump for his criminal murder of Qasem Soleimani, the leader of the Islamic Revolution. And Trump brought us to the brink of World War III, and he talked kind of anti-war on the campaign trail, but his presidency was an absolute disaster. I didn't vote for him the first time, didn't vote for him the second time. Now, that said, I mean, in some ways you might be able to argue he's better than Biden, but he still sucked. He was an awful president. So, I mean, as far as that, but I guess my question is, if we're trying to get working people in the Western capitalist countries, so I mean, as far as that, in the Western people around the world struggling with U.S. imperialism and struggling against Canadian imperialism or French imperialism or British imperialism, you know, to see the people around the world struggling against imperialism as their allies, how do we do that?
I literally just answered that.
So by telling them about it, like making them feel guilty, is that?
No, by showing them what it is that it's doing, that when they go to war, this is what happens. When their country comes up with another lie and another justification for going to war, these are the consequences.
The consequences for the people of these countries.
Yes.
But you don't think linking it to what these evil corporations, the same corporations tied into wars around the world, do at home, you don't think that's a good thing to do?
I don't necessarily see the exact importance of that. I explained, as I said, to link it to capitalism and why it can only ever do what it does and why the system needs to go.
Well, I mean, I look at the fact that, you know, the same corporations that manufacture tear gas that was used against police brutality protesters in Ferguson, Missouri, manufacture tear gas for Israel, that the police department of St. Louis, Missouri is trained in Israel. I show that is a way of linking what the Palestinians are struggling against with what the black people of the United States are struggling against by making this, you know, common bond, or showing that, you know, the big...
You want to link what the black people in America are going... Oh, go on, say. What is it going to say?
Sorry, I was just saying, are they talking about Satan at the fountainhead?
No. Talking about, like, he's just talking about points where he's linked those two things together. I don't think he's on about Satan at the fountainhead. At least I don't think he is. But, you know, if you really want to link this thing up to black people's struggles, you really want to link it to what they've gone through, why not link it to the fact that they were living in an apartheid state for, what, 400, 500 years? What about the fact that they were taken over to that state in chains and shackles? What about the fact that the natives, they have the closest solidarity in America to the Palestinians? Because, I mean, you know, the fact that the Israelis actually have referred to the Palestinians as, quote, our Indians, end quote, you know, really goes to paint the picture of the similarity there. And at one point, the largest little solidarity triangle that you could ever find between three groups was the Native Americans, the Palestinians, and the Irish. Well, it would have been they would have been the Syrians at the point in time, because it was before the British, the French chopped up what's it? Fucking
Ottoman
flies,
Empire.
Man. Before they chopped up the Middle East into West Asia into the borders that it is today.
Yeah.
Oil companies that are reaping in super profits from these high gas prices are also the big oil companies that have kept Nigeria chronically poor for hundreds of years, despite at this point being the top oil exporting country in Africa. I think making those links and showing that the same corporations that are hurting American workers are also the same corporations that are pushing imperialism and devastating people around the world. I mean, I think showing American workers that they have an economic interest in defeating imperialism is our duty, right? I mean, we need to show American workers that imperialism doesn't benefit them.
That's pretentious. Why the fuck would let's see, Caleb, the people Caleb appeals to are upper workers and lower middle class folk. That's the people he typically appeals to, and even more so appeals to petit bourgeois and upper middle class, upper labor aristocrats. So when he's saying like showing an economic intrigue, how far does that go? How far does the penny drop? Is this where Mandem has to push the continued interest of capitalism? Because mind you, this is something he's saying as a qualifier to Jason saying you should tie it directly to the system. He's saying you should make it about an economic interest. It shouldn't be about our intrigue as an interest. It should be about what these things fundamentally are. As dialectical materialists, we believe that the relative truth to which we can hold as humans will drive us forward, so long as we are looking for the most true it can be. So if we're going to behave like that, we must operate like that. And we must give all we can to let people see the truth of the matter as far as we can understand it.
It does benefit them. That's why imperialism exists.
It does benefit them.
Yeah, that's how rich countries become rich and poor countries stay poor.
Well, this confrontation with Russia has resulted in higher food prices, higher gas.
That's an entirely different situation.
No,
Russia,
that's imperialism. The domination
no,
of the world by big corporations and banks and drug cartels and syndicates. That's what we're defining imperialism as.
It's not about the definition of imperialism. It's about whether or not the country is being plundered by the United States, which it isn't. It's absolutely incomparable to take a country like Indonesia or Thailand or Honduras and compare it to Russia. That's simply ridiculous. That's an inter-imperialist. I'm not. I am
comparing it to what is going on in the United States, that the same big corporations that are pushing a confrontation.
Yeah, and I just answered your question as to what the difference is.
All right. Okay. I'm going to mute you if you don't stop interrupting me. Now, same big corporations that are pushing for a confrontation with Russia have also hurt American workers. And so opposing this confrontation with...
What was that? Sorry?
Yeah, I was just commenting on like the mute thing he's going to do. Just kidding. His chat is so awful too.
You better not misbehave or I'll mute you, boy.
He's like a really angry fucking, what's it, southerner? You better not step out of line.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like he's from Ohio in that moment. He's like very red tomato now.
He reminds me of the rich Southern guy from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where he has like the fan and everything, and they're at like the radio station or whatever.
He just needs to get the little suit Keaton Manspread wears. I can't remember his name. Mansfield. There you go. Manspread. It's a better name. You should change it legally. Get Keaton Manspread.
And the guy's like, and he lambasts the poor white trash there, and he basically calls them like, get at it, you ignorant dumb crackers. And it's like he does it in like a very Mississippi Southern drawl. That reminds me so much of Caleb right now, so much so.
He's one of those Midwesterners that just wish they were from Texas. Shit. I'm good at this.
Russia and fighting for jobs and schools and housing for American workers walks hand in hand, does it?
Okay, and Your point being?
My point being that these imperialists are not patriotic. They are hurting American workers. They're hurting American families.
They're just not patriotic enough.
What?
I wonder if someone said this about the leadership of Germany in World War One. I wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's a big thinker.
And
I mean,
who could they be implying is the leadership?
right, and I
Question
mean,
mark.
and this is why I'm skeptical when he brings up Israel, because then he does this. Like this, he's about to have another. What was that term he used? Well, I don't want to say that on YouTube, but we know what term Caleb used at the Dugan conference.
Shit. What letters it begin with? Because I don't know.
The letter I, and then the other word was the letter C. Yeah.
Shit. Can someone write it in the chat? Because I'm fucking.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I'm too disabled to think. Yeah. So, as a preface to it, there's a the word cabal is a slur. It comes from Kabbalah, and so Caleb has openly used the word cabal to refer to. He said cabal of an international cabal of wealthy bankers at the Dugan conference, and proper anti-Semitic.
And he implied that they weren't patriotic to America, just like in this stream he's doing. So he knows what he's doing. He knows.
They've betrayed us.
He said stabbed in the back as well. Stab in the back is one of the old Nazi things that came from. Actually, first came during the war itself. Actually, they already started claiming that the Jews had stabbed them in the back about 1950.
And then later on, when Hitler came to power and Franz Papen or whatever his name was, they both promoted that pretty heavily.
Oh, also, it's a fun little trivia thing. I know he's no longer popular in left-wing spaces anymore, but I'll mention something interesting. Anyone who has watched Jimmy Dore in the past will know that he basically half smiles on one side and half frowns on the other. What that comes from is that's a man who has spoken a lot with a cigarette and a spliff hanging outside of his mouth. And I know he smokes pot, so I know that'll end up being the case. Now, you see anyone who's weirdly like that is because they're ripping down on it with that side, and then they're talking with it, and it basically just stretches the mouth all weird. Man's a fat potted.
Setting up a low-wage police state. They've set up a prison industrial complex. They're driving down living standards, and they're also pushing for war abroad, and that we share a common...
Yeah, but he doesn't want anything to do with the love of proletariat. If this is a big problem to him, why is he so anti-lumpen?
And also, why does he keep promoting the crazy theory that they want to decrease the population? Like,
it's a dog
implying white genocide, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is what it is. It's a dog whistle. He's pandering towards that audience. He knows what it is. They know what deep state means and all this. It's Tucker Carlson is always talking about. I mean, we're like a month away from Caleb saying demographics.
Only America would be astonished that there's more than just the government you elect in government. Yeah, of course it's a deep state. Like, no one was surprised. Like, it's not in the sense of what they mean by it. I know what they mean by it, but by definitive, there's always been an undercarriage of the state that's just jobs for people that include the Secret Service. Like, Americans are just they're special snowflakes. It's always the educated Americans that are the special snowflakes. The stereotype is ass backwards. The coastal Americans is they're gonna be the stupidest people I've ever fucking engaged with on this planet. And I've engaged with Southern English people. Oh, I did the thing where I'm not on the right thing.
Destiny, the working people of the United States, their interest lies in standing with the people of Africa and Asia and Latin America against U.S. imperialism.
Yeah, and let me know when they start doing that.
Well, that's our job, Jason. That's our job.
That's what I've been trying to do. That's what we've both been trying to do. So I don't see what the point of contention here is.
Neither do I, and I don't understand why the hostility. But I guess now, since we
the way you're trying to phrase things,
we both agree, based on what you're telling me, that it is our job as Marxists in the Western capitalist countries to show a common interest between the working people here and their struggle against capitalism and the working people around the world and their struggle against imperialism. We agree on that. So we've established a point of agreement. So that brings me to a number. We're here to talk about your statements, and here we go. This is a statement that you made. I've got the screenshot. I'm just going to add it here to the stream. So I said, one odd pattern that you notice when looking over the history of Asia is that Christianity, brought by European missionaries.
Oh, I'm so glad you let me talk about this. Christianity was born in Asia. A very special place called West Asia. You might know it as the Middle East, Caleb, because you seem to like Anglo-Saxon definitives of the world rather than the actual geographic definitives that have existed for thousands of years. But West Asia, where Christianity was born, is Asian. Dun dun dun. There's information that states that Jesus's cousin might have been a Chinese fucking warlord. I've heard that before. Christianity spread east before Europeans got to missionary shit, because Christianity spread outwards. Christianity went into Africa and it went into Europe, and then Europe went around crushing anything that wasn't specifically European Christianity. That's what they went and done.
Frequently got hijacked by revolutionaries, reinvented and utilized by peasant revolutionary uprisings. This happened in Korea, Japan, China, and elsewhere. You responded by claiming that is historical revisionism.
It is.
Okay, so did the Shimabara rebellion in Japan happen?
And exactly of what relevance is it?
Well, this was in 1637.
1637.
Yes.
We're talking about Marxism.
Okay.
We're not talking about 1637.
Okay, I'm going to mute you now. In 1637, the people of Japan had an uprising. The peasants had an uprising after being converted to Christianity. They built a revolutionary army to fight against feudalism, and they fought against feudalism. It was a huge civil war. It was a big, well-documented moment in Japanese history that after Christian missionaries had brought Christianity there, revolutionary forces tweaked it and changed it and made it their own. It wasn't the European Christianity. They, as I said, they hijacked it, and they led a revolutionary uprising against feudalism in Japan. You claim that you have some evidence that this is all supposed to be open, historical fraud, so please go ahead.
Well, now that you've unmuted me from trying to answer you, by the way, I don't really think you're one that can complain about anybody talking over them, considering the last time we did a stream like this, you talked over me, but I digress. As I had already stated, this has nothing to do with Marxism, and that's the point.
I did. I said this is an odd historical pattern. And
yes, when you were doing this, justifying Christianity, being a Christian communist. Yes, you did, because it was at the same time.
All right. Also, there was the Taiping uprising of 1850 to 1861. 30 years before Mao was born. 20 to 30 million people died. They were led by the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, which was a Christian movement of peasants that fought against feudalism in China. When Mao took power...
See, the whole position he was using was trying to say that, like trying to prove that Christianity has this, like, revolutionary thing going on with it, when that's not so much the case. Like, you can't just turn around and go, oh yeah, well, Christianity turned up just before this happened, you know, so it was obviously Christianity that did it, not the fact that these people were heavily oppressed and had an uprising to do.
Yeah, I mean, what is he implying here? You can apply this to any religion. Like, what is his point? Like, he's not talking about the material conditions or anything like that. He's just trying to make this seem like, oh, there's just like a revolutionary spirit involved in this, and it's like, yeah, it's in every religion. There's always been some kind of revolutionary spirit, be it like Shia Islam, Sunni Islam, Hinduism. Well, I mean, like,
You know, like different, you have different sects in religions than like religious blocks, but so sects are only part of that specific family. The actual religion sort of tree, you would look at it as the faith. So faith is the directive of it all. So Christianity is one family of the Abrahamic faith. Do you know how new families are born in a faith, Caleb? Revolution. Look at history. Galilean movement was a proletarian revolutionary movement against the Roman Empire, led by no other than good old JC, not JC Denton, Jesus Christ. Come on, there's like 2 people in my fan base at least who watch it, who plays Deus Ex or something. Come on, baby. Not the new ones, the old one. We don't talk about the second game, but the Islam with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that rolls up in a big revolutionary struggle against Arab paganism, as they put it. Apparently, there was loads of I don't know the history of it myself, but I've been told that basically what was going on back then was like loads of kids were being like buried alive, and women being set ablaze, and Islam came in and stopped all that. But yeah, big revolution forward, and it sort of pushed against the elitism of Christianity from Europe. People seem to fucking realize how interconnected Europe, Africa, and Asia have been in that region in the West, like Northeast Africa, West Asia, and Southeast Europe. But I mean, the what we now call the UK today, this Isles, the Breton Isles, they've had a connection with Africa and West Asia for millennia, like
Yeah.
fucking long as well, I mean, not only the Roman Empire had been pushing up them ways, but I mean, before the days of the Romans, the Celtic people were fucking all over the joint. They were all in what they were. They settled in Turkey long before the Turkish actually ever did. And they were all over Europe. I mean, there's still some of them left in places like France and Spain. The Serbians descend from Celtic people. And yeah, no, what's it?
Yeah. Oh, well, what else is Moppin gonna say? I mean, in like, I don't get where he's going with all this. It's just, I think he's just trying
He's
to.
taking advantage to snipe him because
Yeah.
um uh, also SK was the only predominantly Christian country, not the others.
yeah, this whole thing is just one big gaslight. I mean, even at the start with like Maoist rebel in quotation marks, I knew
Yeah.
that this was going to be brought up right away because I knew just like what is it? What is he implying there by putting that in front of him?
Yeah. It's just typical. Like, this is like the typical antics of a debate bro type. It's not that surprising, but it is annoying. I will say, yeah.
He actually built a monument to the Taiping Uprising. It's in Tiananmen Square. This is the biggest civil war in human history, in which Christian peasants in Asia, who were converted to Christianity, they tweaked it and adopted it for their own ends. They had an uprising against feudalism. Now, do you have evidence that this is a hoax? This is a fraud. It never happened.
As I have already said once, and you muted me as I was trying to answer you again, this has nothing to do with Marxism. That may be historically true. May or may not. I don't know. That was not the point of contention. The point of contention is that you posted this in order to justify Christian socialism or building a revolutionary thing around Christian. Because that was what you were going on about at the time. So now you're just simply denying. So now you're just taking exactly what I said, denying the context. Okay.
So you're basically saying that I said something that is historically true, and you claimed it was false because you don't agree with a point you think I was trying to make. Is that correct?
No.
That's not the point you were.
What Jason really should have said here, and a big mistake on his part, was he should have turned around and just put his hands in the air and went, you know what? I made a mistake because of the type of shit you typically push.
Well, I think what Jason means is that Caleb is pushing theocracy, which he is. I mean, let's face it, King of Mansfield does literally advocate for a theocracy. So, I mean, as far as the context, the other stuff doesn't even matter necessarily. Obviously, Caleb there is just gaslighting the point.
I mean, he made it sound as well like he was talking of the DPRK when he says Korea and China. It just seems a bit purposefully misleading.
Right, yeah. It's typical Caleb fashion.
He's gaslighting like fucking crazy right now. If I were to have a gaslight detector, it would have already just exploded everywhere. Because it's he's basically saying, oh, you said that I said that these events were fake. Not what?
Right, yeah, but I do think Jason's doing well. I mean, he is standing up for himself when the mic's unmuted, so you could tell Caleb's getting a little bit frustrated again.
But to be fair though, it might just be Caleb trying to sound like a hard ass. You can never tell with his voice.
True.
Trying to make, and we're going to disagree on
What
this.
point was
and
I
once
trying to
again,
make?
you muted me as I tried to answer.
Yeah, because you're interrupting me.
I'm not interrupting you.
No, I posted a historical fact, and you can believe the Taiping Uprising was very important to Mao, and studying it happened shortly before he was born, and the fact that he built a monument to it after he took power, it was a very important event that's very relevant to Marxism.
Never said it wasn't.
You just said that we're not talking, that this isn't Marxism, it's not relevant because we're not talking about Marxism. I'd say it's pretty relevant. It's very similar to the peasant wars in Germany, an entire book that was written by Friedrich Engels about how the peasants in Germany, again, in the name of Christianity, rose up against feudalism. This is very relevant to Marxism. Marxism is a framework with which you can understand the entirety of human history. So you can study historical events from a Marxist framework.
It is not
it is true that many times throughout
understand the entirety of human history. It is a framework of which you can understand from what history we can gather and understand, because you cannot understand the entirety of human history. That is out of our scope. Don't be a vulgar materialist and speak in such disgusting language.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are the type of people who promote Heidegger, so I'm not too surprised.
I would just stop everything just because I would, at this particular moment, you gotta throw the chessboard. If you're playing chess, you just take the chessboard at this point, throw it up in the air, and basically say, okay, but what does any of this have to do with you promoting Alexander Dugin and LaRouche? Because that's the key point of our debate here, you asshole.
Right.
It is entertaining hearing him try to get angry, but he just sounds like concerned a bit, but also really narcissistic. Like fucking you know that one where it's like the two guys and they're coming together with the arms like it's you can just see their arms over the screen. It needs to be like one of the arm is fucking Caleb's voice and the other arm is B Liberal's voice, and it is sounding narcissistic all the time, no matter what they are talking about.
Yep.
I keep pressing spacebar when I'm not on the right tab.
history in Asia and elsewhere, and in Europe and in all kinds of places, there are people who, in the name of Christianity, have risen up against capitalism and imperialism. They've hijacked it as their own. That is a historic.
I wonder if it's because people exist around the world and people around the world have stood up against those same very things.
historical fact. And I don't know why you would deny a historical fact simply because you don't like something that you think I meant when I said it or something. I don't get it.
Okay, now that took long enough. You're misrepresenting what I said. I'm not saying these things weren't of any historical significance. I didn't say that. I did not say, no, I did not. No, you know, as I had already clarified, that this was not about that. This is about modern day and you pushing a Christianity view. I am not denying these things in the past.
Yes, you are. You called it historical revisionism.
No, I am not. I am saying specifically right now, that's not what this is about.
Yeah, actually it is. If you say something's historical
no, that's not what I'm saying. I am not saying that these things didn't happen.
Well, then why did you call it historical revisionism?
I didn't. In the context, you're changing the context of what I'm saying.
I mean, your tweet is right
there.
You're
changing the context of what I'm saying.
Everyone can see what you said. It's right there, Jason.
You dishonest piece of shit.
I talked about historical facts.
You're completely misrepresenting what I'm saying,
my friend.
Because I just said you're misrepresenting what I said. Yeah, I think that is a reason.
You're misrepresenting what I said.
That's exactly what Bosch did to you.
No, I said historical facts.
Oh, and that was Jason, my G, telling it. This is what Vosh did to Caleb.
Yep, it's almost like Caleb learned from Vosh or something.
Are you telling me the Borg King is real?
Let's keep seeing what happens.
Me a historical revisionist. You denied history basically because you don't agree with me.
I am saying right now specifically, I am not denying those things happen, nor did I intend to say that then. I was specifically referring to modern day and Marxism. Yes, such and such individual. Okay, so you say, I don't believe you.
Okay, so you claimed that me talking about a historical event was false because you believe that
no, in the context that you attempted to
about something now. What is the context? I'm talking about history.
Okay, so historical revisionism need not mean that you have changed history. You are revising the importance of history. That is still a historical revisionist position to make. If you take history, put it through a fishhole lens, or a peephole, you obscure a lot of what's going on, and you only look for it for a hyper-focused context. That completely takes away from the full brevity of what that history means, what it represents, what's going on there, the factors. He's pumping the fucking tutors on Christianity there when the real big pusher there was motherfucking the organized consciousness of the peasant classes.
Yeah.
Also, if he'd said the taping uprising on there, no one would have even been confused with Kashite anyway. That's the way I'd see it.
Context, which I have already said 3 times previously, was you were using this as a justification to push Christian Marxism.
No, I'm using this to talk about history for the same
I'm gonna
reason
have to disagree with you.
for the same reason that Frederick Engels talked about the peasant wars in Germany.
Okay, but Engels talked about the Peasants' War in Germany because Engels is German and that's important for the German revolutionary struggle. Mao talked about the Taiping Uprising because that was very important to the Chinese people in the Chinese struggle. It's like, like, why are you talking about them and not talking about past European struggle? I mean, especially in your case, American, maybe you might want to talk about that, but you're a European, Caleb, so you might want to look back to Europe because that might be a little less scary for you, because to look back to America as a white American, you have to look back to the Black Panther Party, and you have a bad record of being, pro-disarming the Black Panther Party, anti-Frantz Fanon,
Yep.
Anti-Eldridge Cleaver.
And pro Lincoln and FDR. Lincoln, who engaged in war with the Sioux. At the same time, he was waging war with the Confederacy.
Yeah, and yep.
I swear, I might be getting this wrong. I might be on about a different video, but I swear the video Caleb Maupin is on Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore says the same thing about like the fucking Panthers apparently working with the fucking the KKK at some point, and Caleb doesn't push it back when it was not the case. There was a group organization of loads of different peoples, and there happened to have been white supremacists there. They were not working with them. When everyone is being starved by the government, guess what happens? All sorts of groups turn up. What a fucking way to snipe a revolutionary organization.
Yeah, that's
Right?
Sorry, but
insane.
there would be no point to me denying this. It doesn't even make any sense in that
Well,
context.
then why did you use the term historical revisionism?
Because I was specifically referring to.
I mean, you didn't think to like Google this before you accused me of making up and lying about history?
I didn't claim that you lied about what happened.
Apparently, here's some historical revisionism. Apparently, Christianity was communist.
Not in the context that you were trying to
spread by
frame
murdering and raping missionaries, which I didn't say. I said it was hijacked and utilized. And also, South Korea was the only predominantly Christian country, not others. The magic of Maupin thought. So it sounds like you're saying that the only place this could have possibly happened is South Korea, which is not what I said. I just recited to you the Shimabara Rebellion. I just recited to you the Taiping Uprising. You didn't think to like Google this, do a little research before attacking me?
Because they weren't relevant to the point I was making.
It really looks in this tweet. It really looks like you're trying to say that I just made this up or I lied. That's what. No,
you're misrepresenting what I'm saying.
Well, I think people can look at it. It's right here on the screen, and they can decide for themselves.
No, you're trying to weasel your way out of it.
No, I'm
trying to
showing
weasel your way out of
it
it by misrepresenting what I'm saying. You know specifically that I am talking about Marxism because I have told you multiple times.
Is this a fake screenshot?
No.
Okay.
I didn't claim it was.
So I'm not lying about anything you said.
Yeah, you are lying.
Right there. No, I'm not.
You are lying.
You're lying. The context of it, not the content of it. You fucking contentive prick.
About the context.
Oh boy. Okay. But speaking of that, since we are talking about Christianity, now I'm going to take it off the screen here, but I think everyone's had a chance to see it. So, I'm not trying to falsify.
No, the tweet's still there.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Now, you made a video. Oh, let me adjust this. You made a video. I like it's better when we're in the full thing here. You made a video on March 26th, 2022. Called Caleb Maupin's Racist Pandering. And at 5 minutes and 3 seconds into the video, you referred to this book, Jesus is a Socialist, that I published. And you claimed that in this book, I advocate a theocracy and that I say that, people that people are commanded by God to follow me. Can you tell me what page that's on? I've got the book right here. So
no, it's not specific wording. It's in the substance of what's being said.
So is it all the quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Is that where you got that from?
Now, can I answer that, or do I have to?
No, go ahead, please. I'm curious where in this book I ever.
Okay, cool. Now I'm going to answer. The substance in what you were trying to do. Because what it is that you're trying to do is that Jesus would want you to be a socialist, which I find problematic considering that you would first have to show any evidence that he actually existed, but that's besides the point. And because you have crowned yourself the savior by, say, the CPI.
When did I do that?
I will explain exactly how you're doing that. Only the
crowned myself the
CPI can
savior.
save us. I'm trying to answer. Could you please mute yourself? Seriously, mute yourself. To answer your question before you interrupted me again, like the hypocrite that you are, because you have posed yourself as only the CPI can save us and only the CPI's line is correct, yes, that's why you started the party, and that's why you attack literally everybody else.
Nope.
Okay, Center for Political Innovation and Organization, whatever it is that you want to call it.
With, we have members of the Communist Party in our group. We have people from the
I got to tell you something.
We have people.
The Communist Party doesn't want anything to do with you, and frankly, neither does anybody else.
All right. Okay, we're gonna. This isn't gonna work.
Okay, so now you're refusing to let me answer.
Okay.
So you're refusing to let me answer. Let me answer.
Go ahead and talk.
Because you have positioned yourself as the savior by using this, and then saying I'm Christian, and Jesus would want you to be a socialist. Therefore, you got to follow me. Because other people really aren't pushing the Christian Marxism. That's what you're doing. You're appealing to people, telling them that, oh, I want God, or pardon me, God would want you to do what I'm doing, and I'm telling you it, so therefore you follow me. This is very similar to how a reverend or a priest...
Actually, this does actually fall in line with a lot of the Kaiseristic shit that he's pulling, and the way he decided to compare Julius Caesar to Jesus, and then said America needs a Julius Caesar. He is trying to position that the CPI will bring a savior. He just said, I'm not the one to do it, guys.
The CPI will find the way.
Right, yeah.
And Jason is hitting a real fucking...
Yeah, and I'll add this, like Caleb does not look good when he's doing this like fake overlap thing he's trying to do here. Like,
it looks like he's going to explode.
Yeah, but he's trying to pretend that like that Jason's the crazy one, and his fake facial expression that Caleb's
visual
doing.
Gaslighting.
Right. That's a good way of putting it. But it's not working in my opinion. Like maybe it'll work with his hardcore audience. But like from here,
I'm gonna get a screenshot of Tomato Boy.
There
you go. I call him Spudnik.
Wait, is the debate live or is it already over and we're watching it back?
Oh, we're already streaming, and I'm pausing and playing and chatting, but I didn't press go live properly straight away. Like
okay. I literally just woke up. So.
Well, welcome to being live.
The debate is still going.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still going. Okay.
We're like 30 minutes behind. Because I've been pausing and we've been chatting and talking about it. But Caleb at this moment looks like a tomato. I'm going to call him Spudnik. He's my new pet.
Priest acts. That's what I mean. And I love the obnoxious faces. That was exactly like Bosch did.
Are you done?
It's strange that you're just acting like him. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're using a very common logical fallacy called telescoping, where you're saying, well, you said this, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this, and this means this, so therefore...
Well, it's called pathologizing and looking at the bigger picture. Marx said never to be vulgarly materialist. You've got to look at nuance. You've got to look at all the nuances you can, but you've got to look at how those nuances connect and then read between the lines of what's going on there. You've got to look to the whole of the situation as much as you can and perspectivize shit. Like, you know, when Marx talks about the functionalities of capitalism, it's not like you could go round and speak to 50 capitalists of the country and get their opinion on what their life is like and how they work the system. You know, might have been mates of Engels, but Engels wasn't the be-all end-all of a bourgeois either, even he was one guy.
Yeah,
like the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
I was just saying he's like a lumpen capitalist. I think he's like not really even like in the circle ish.
He had a factory. I mean, however you want to play it. I mean, he eventually lumpenized himself by becoming a radical in the UK. Not a fervor for good business or staying very on good pages with your family after they already moved you out there to stop doing revolutions in Germany.
Yeah. Like the thing that Caleb is not realizing here with this stupid argument about telescoping or whatever the fuck that he's trying to say is it without you clarifying like what you mean by certain things, there's no possible way you can like insist that nobody else that's watching you will take what you say in the way that you mean it, you know? Like it, so for him to try to like say that Jason is implying that, you know, by implication, when I say this, then people are going to take it this certain way. There's no way that Caleb can possibly say like, oh no, that doesn't happen and it can't happen. It's not up to him to make that decision without him actually clarifying what he means. But he's not his audience. So.
Absolutely.
And also, he was talking about, well, this guy said this, therefore, and he's affiliated with this. Like, this is literally what he did in that BreadTube book. Like, when I was watching Thought Slime go over it, he was basically just making these innuendos based off fucking nothing with no sources whatsoever. He's literally describing to Jason what he himself does.
I mean, in his City Builders book, he decides to make a load of very anti-Semitic points about Arabs and Jews. He also called the Saudi Arabians Bedouin and Bedouins Jewish. You know, Saudi Arabia is not a Bedouin culture.
Yeah, he also bashes. He uses the term like drug overlord or some crap like that, to say that they're all destroyers.
And to be fair, I mean, I think I'm slightly wrong there, but like, Saudi Arabia itself is a British monarchy, not an Arab style monarchy. That's one thing to keep in consideration.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Right.
I get these different parts of my facts about the Middle East a bit muddled up at times because still learning. My stream isn't properly showing up on my channel on this. I have to like share it with the link. I should see if it's actually showing up on the channel properly now because it wasn't before. No? As far as this is concerned, I'm not streaming apparently.
There's like I could check too. There's some weird thing with like YouTube sometimes. YouTube is bizarre and strange.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see you streaming.
You know what it is? Is that I think the live signal is actually from the Discord and not the YouTube. Yeah.
Nah, it's not that. Ah, visibility.
I see.
I know how to live stream. So it is now visible. I had it private like a moron. Goddamn moron. So I sent a link out, but people have clicked on it and it's like this video is private. So no one warned me.
And that's not the case. First things first, CPI is not a party. There are people in many different political organizations that are members of the CPI. We are very friendly with Jackson Hinkle. We are very friendly with Haas. We're very friendly with Peter Coffin. We're very friendly
I wouldn't
with
brag about that.
all kinds of different political forces. I've never claimed that CPI, that I'm the savior, that CPI is the one true way. And in fact, the whole reason we started it as a think tank rather than a party is to get out of that kind of childish LARPing and actually try and have an institution that can push Marxist politics in a way people can understand it.
What a joke.
CPI is not a Christian organization. I would say the majority of the group are atheists. We have some Muslim members. We have some Jewish members. And I'm in the minority as someone in the group who's a Christian. And in fact, the very first book we published was a Muslim socialist book by Gaddafi. This pushes Islamic socialism. So the very first book we published was not a Christian book, it was explicitly a Muslim book. So the notion that we put a book of quotations from the Bible and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Eugene Debs and Daniel DeLeon and others out there in order to make the case that we're trying.
So when he will talk about Eugene Debs, it's when he's talking about Jesus, because if you talked about Eugene Debs, you might want to stay away from socialism, Caleb.
And also De Leon as well that he mentioned. That's pretty interesting, considering he called him an ultra leftist extremist, basically.
De Leon, the guy who defined the definition of the labor aristocracy as comparative to the feudal aristocracy, which by that time had formalized into the petty bourgeoisie. So distinctions were made, as Engels and Marx both accepted De Leon's definition, and so did Lenin. Engels sort of expanded upon it with his positions on petit bourgeois socialism and socialism scientifically utopian, when he talked about the petit bourgeois need to organize around neo-feudal ideologies to push for greater power in the system like their forefathers had had.
Yeah,
Also, literally everybody he cites, like Has, Jackson Hinkle, these are all just like the same fucking cultists and grifters, just like him.
Absolutely.
yeah, that was dumb. I don't know why he even brought them up.
Yeah, I mean, just like cite somebody who isn't part of your little like fucking, you know,
Right.
Well,
fan
I mean,
club
And
or
all
something.
them and all of their followers are also like conservative fucking religious people. A lot of them are Christians. And I don't even know why he's trying to play off as like CPI is not like a fucking Christian front, basically. Because even if he wants to say like, oh, we have some atheists in our membership, I don't see really any atheists in their leadership or like the biggest people that we really know or see from CPI. Like when I think of CPI, like who do I think of? Like really, I think of Caleb Maupin himself. I think of like Keaton Mansfield.
Yeah.
I think of well, he's not affiliated with him anymore, but I'm pretty sure he's still a Christian. Is like the Yankee Tanky guy.
He's
And
the one who
I think of
founded
I think of like Dust James, and then there's that one woman that was like at the CPI conference holding the flag and shit. Like I saw her on Keaton Mansfield's channel one time, like talking about how like God, she literally was like saying not like verbatim, but like basically verbatim, where she was saying like, you know, God wants United States to become socialist and stuff like that. And, like
Yeah, and of course Caleb had like Jackson and Hawes as their guest speakers. Like so even if they
Yeah.
weren't supposedly affiliated with it, they still went at the actual like event to speak. So I mean, when you're inviting them as speakers, I mean, you know, it's just another way for them. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't see how you can say it's not like a Christian group, really. I mean, just look at how they fucking responded, like to literally look at how they responded to like the Roe v. Wade thing. Like they tried to justify the shit with like religious garbage.
But as well, the conference where they're all like, and you will not do the racism, and we will not do the racism. You will lick the in-between fluff of Caleb Maupin's toes on a Thursday afternoon. We will lick the in-between fluff of Caleb Maupin's toes on an afternoon. You will, even though he's supposed to stay pure as a priest, be sexually deviated upon by Keaton Mansfield on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Well, Keaton Mansfield says that he thinks the age of consent should be like 21 in one of his tweets recently. So, Yeah, I don't know. It's just like
We're going back to goddamn 1962.
Thank you.
So like I barely came into the debate here, whatever. How do you guys think it's been going so far? I'll have
Caleb's
to
been
watch the
getting
rest of this
angry.
back later.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's Caleb doing nonstop gaslighting,
Yeah, I
and
figured.
basically
More
muting
like ass
Jason.
lighting.
He's muting
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did it like 2 or 3 times.
But what he'll do is
Oh.
he'll interrupt Jason, and then when Jason continues to talk, say, "Ah, you interrupted me," and then mute him.
yeah.
That's like some pussy shit.
Yeah, although like Maupin did this like Vosh thing where he pretends to do like a fake overlap, but it doesn't look good on Maupin in all honesty. Like,
Yeah.
and Jason's been pretty upfront.
Not
He's been
enough
standing.
neckbeard.
Hmm.
Cool. So Jason's probably he's been like holding his own, I guess, whatever. Even though
Yeah,
Caleb's doing a bunch of slimy bullshit.
yeah, that's what's happening, and Caleb,
I thought
Caleb's
Caleb
all
was
over the place.
against anti-revolutionary slime, or is this the mythic revolutionary slime I've heard of?
For real.
It's been, I mean, kind of shit to be honest.
Mm.
I mean, this was always
Have
just
they
going to
really-
be a sniping match. I mean, he spent the first part of it not even talking about like what Jason's been talking about Caleb, which was supposed to be the discussion. It's all just been about,
What are you doing to bring down the imperialisms?
Yeah,
Well, it's not like fucking Jason's doing or it's not like Caleb's doing anything like in reality. Like he's just sitting around going like selling books and shit to a bunch of fucking middle class white boy dweebs that think they're like revolutionary when in reality they're just LARPing.
right.
Like they're just like
Yeah.
literally reformists.
he'll
And
put
yeah,
like
well,
a
they go out.
two-page.
They go out. Yeah, like they go out and call like actual acts of revolution or like any type of like actual on the ground fucking things that will actually like benefit people's lives.
Ultra-left.
Like in the immediate, yeah, they call it ultra left, they call it anarchist, they call it terrorist, a bunch of stupid shit.
Yeah,
Come on,
yeah,
guys.
and
Mao asked the Japanese to leave. He
And
also
then-
asked the ROC to go live in Taiwan.
but Caleb's got like 5 CPI members who wave the Che Guevara flag next to the American flag. So,
Che Guevara would laugh at Caleb. He wouldn't even
He
think of
would.
him. Then again, he'd be laughing because he had just signed his fucking warrant of death. But
absolutely.
He'd be laughing in the same way I would be like pointing to the coffin and being like, "Okay, get in."
Peter Coffin.
Coffin.
Did you say getting or slipping?
Never tell.
Peter Coffin once ripped his trousers on Steve Harris because he was known as was it like crotch kicker Peter Coffin or something like that?
Oh God, I just noticed Caleb's holding up this stupid book.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
Caleb's
did he just like did he
Trying to
just like
establish some kind
collect a bunch of books that he wrote or some shit and just like hold them off to the side and like waiting for the opportune moment to like pull them out to try to promote them?
Yeah, he promoted his Gaddafi book before that, and then he put back the Socialist Jesus book. Yep.
Oh my God, Caleb is so cringe. He's such like a fucking salesman, dude. I
Yeah.
hate that about him.
Well, you know, you got to be a good snake oil salesman to be a cult leader. That's sort of like rule numero uno with this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, he should have kept the
excuse
long
me.
hair. He would be less threatening. You'd be more sucked into him if he had the long hair still.
Excuse me, sir, but CPI is not a cult. It is a political organization, not a party.
Oh, but but we hold 4-day camping trips in Kansas for revolutionary programming. Um,
Uh,
literally, that's what he's doing now.
no, you.
And it's only $50 to get a ticket.
It's only $50. Is it actually $50?
I have no
I don't
idea.
know.
Cause that's a fucking fuck that. And it's like $25. Yeah, I got a fucking
Yeah.
campsite
Yeah, I'm
for
just
yourself
imagining
for
like
fucking 3 week for fucking.
yeah, I'm just like imagining like how's Caleb gonna make some money off of this? Because there's no way he's just gonna spend like 3 weeks in the woods or whatever with a bunch of fucking white boy losers
Right? Yeah.
You
for
get
free.
you fucking
Especially a camp that's like drug free and all that, and no alcohol and all that. Since Caleb's
Drug
against
free.
that.
Did he actually say that? Fucking-
Well, he's gone on rants before saying that nobody should be using drugs while in meetings and all this. And
yeah.
what he really means is don't get high. Basically, smoke weed.
where's my grinder?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the Panthers had a rule about that too, but like at least during party work. But I'm sure Caleb would like push it
Right.
further.
That
where it's
is
like,
the
yeah, you can't
work.
do
The
it at all.
work. So the point is when you're on the ground and you're doing active
Yeah.
party work, you don't
Right.
go about getting high. Which
Yeah.
I mean doesn't mean don't use drugs entirely because they're all smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, where
Although,
do
I mean,
you
with
draw the
yeah.
line?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Like with Caleb, he would take it to like the extreme where he'd be like, "Yeah, you can't take any drugs at all at any time."
Also, do you think you're gonna
Absolutely.
turn around to Rastafari or on it all the time? And I'll be like, guys, I know when you guys normally hit down on the streets and you hit local with people, you may have one in your ear, you may have one in your mouth, you may be already halfway through one. You just not do it, and it's like, why would they need to not do? Like, no one's gonna be like turned off or shocked that
Yeah.
all my
I mean,
people
I
who are
know.
culturally Rastafari are smoking something that is culturally important to being
Yeah.
Rastafari. So there is
Yeah, and
like
I
the
mean,
line waves, and Caleb is trying to just cut straight through.
Yeah, I mean, I've met people who have like their vapes on them, and but like Caleb is the type who will take it to the ultra extreme. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's drug testing people, but I don't have any proof that he would do that. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised.
See, I'm
Um,
anti-hipster, so you're allowed to smoke, but not vapes.
right, but
Vaporize
it's
like if it unless it's like the ones where you stick like the bud inside and it burns it essentially, but it basically vaporizes. That's all right.
right.
But yeah, no, the stream popped up late, BRB, just in case you're wondering, because fucking I didn't start streaming until like, well, no, I started streaming like a few minutes in, and then I accidentally had the stream private for most of the time we've been streaming, and it's been an hour and 12 minutes. Yeah. Oi, that's a type of punk. I said yo. I Germanized you again. You've been Germanized. Deal with it. I can't pronounce the surname, so you're gonna deal with that. That's me attempting it. Wait. Who are you talking with, Jason? No, we do not have El Jefe here. He is talking with the Ginger-Weasel. I have people with me. That's who I'm talking with. People. I'm good at this. Yeah, people. Oh man, gone crazy. Well, with noob mode, based, god, flashy, and Yanan, Got him. I'm still somewhat lucid. Oh, and Gengelos. Said that one quickly. Fucking sprung back to life.
Good there.
Like a fish out of water. Except I got legs.
Kind of Christian theocracy is simply poppycock. I mean, it just doesn't add up. I mean, do you disagree?
What the fuck?
Poppycock.
Poppycock. Yeah, it's an old English thing that is
It's basically the
absolute
equivalent.
poppycock.
It's the equivalent of my grandmother saying the term like queer ducks in 2015 or whatever. It's
Oh.
like old ancient time words.
We still call birds duck. Yeah, well, birds duck. That doesn't make sense to you. We still call women duck.
Duck.
Yeah, duck. It's like a duck or flower. Or you've got my one mate who goes out of his way to call everyone avoidant of gender flower, not for any like progressive reason. It's just the way he speaks. He's a lovely fella.
Oh, let's get back to this shit show. God. I'm gonna need a drink after this.
I turn like the light looks brighter on my window. I think it keeps distracting me. I need to close the curtain. Having a moment.
Agree with that?
To answer your question, it's not telescoping because I'm not making a series of things. I'm taking the collective whole of what's being said.
Well, the collective whole of what's being said is we put out an Islamic socialist book.
Yeah. By the way,
and
publishing somebody else's work doesn't really count as publishing a book.
And I mean, we published Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in here. The majority of our organization are not Christian,
And?
so I'm
and yet you
lost.
keep
You're
unless
saying-
but again,
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a Christian, but so it doesn't matter whether you quoted him or not. Like you're still trying to prove a point about Christianity by quoting it.
Also, publishing books, like, you didn't publish those. You're just putting out books that are already there and then selling them,
Right.
which,
He's literally just
by the
profiting
way,
off the work that it's
yeah,
I
which
don't
is-
know if he
which are-
knows this, but Martin Luther King was a Republican until the 50s. Like, are we going to turn around and go, oh, well, yeah, well, we should be pro-Republican because Martin Luther King was? When Martin Luther King then turned around and lampooned the Republican as aligning with the slave party mentality of the Democrats. When Malcolm
Yeah.
X convinced King's position off of that shit.
Oh, wait a minute. Martin Luther King, Republican. Abraham Lincoln, Republican. Trump, Republican. Do
Oh,
you see the pattern here?
So you're trying to say that Martin Luther King is a descendant of Lincoln. Trump is a descendant
Yes.
of Martin Luther King.
It all makes sense now.
I didn't know Trump was black. Oh, Jason!
I don't
Jason
even see
wants
why,
in.
where Caleb
We're not done
Caleb
breaking
is
it
getting
down,
off.
but Jason wants in. I'll let you in, Jason.
Yeah.
Add friends. Apparently, I have friends. I do. You know, I didn't know this.
Know you?
I like the questionative mannerism you said that. No, you? It's
Like,
ringing, Jace.
that regardless of how like Caleb wants to frame it with like, oh, releasing books that already exist, like it doesn't matter. The people that are like the heads of his fucking CPI are all like pushing this Christian narrative anyway. So
He's here.
you
So
mind if I talk?
oh, Jason's here.
We haven't gotten through the whole thing yet. But how bad did it go towards the end?
He fucking muted me every single time I answered a question.
I noticed this before you started criticizing him for it, because you tried to be patient and let him off a couple of times with it. But what he do is interrupt you while you're already halfway through answering, and then when you go to continue answering, he'll be like, "Oh, you're interrupting me," and mute you, and it's like,
he's a disreputable fucking cretin who blatantly misrepresented what I was saying. That is absolutely the thing. He even nitpicked tiny insignificant things, semantics. For a person who has no solid argument, yeah, well, here's this thing that Lenin said, and so here's my reinterpretation of it, therefore I'm right, is basically what he was saying. I don't believe for a fucking second that he wasn't part of that plot to try to destroy my reputation. He's an absolute liar.
Well, I mean, even throughout the time where he was pretending to fucking be your mate, he was slagging you off behind your back. And this motherfucker, like, think about it this way. When you turned around and was like, so the what you're doing with the Jesus shit is you are trying to sort of push what you're doing as a savior figure. In the stream he did, when he went on about Julius Caesar being being like Jesus Christ, he then went on to say that the United States needs a Julius Caesar, and the CPI will be the org to find that. But it wouldn't be Caleb. He quickly went on to clarify it wouldn't be Caleb. I think he got lost in his delusion of grandeur. So you might be more right than you even think there.
Jeez. I mean, it was pretty obvious from the beginning that Caleb obviously had a reason to just randomly out of the blue, like, try to set up this debate. Like, he just is trying to, like, end it in his mind. Like, in his mind, he's gonna, like, come in here, be a dishonest little fuck, and just try to frame everything the way he wants it, and then mute you continuously. And then in his mind, he thinks this is the end of it. But in reality, no, he just made more of a fool of himself. Showed his fucking dishonesty, and the criticisms are going to continue, obviously. So
yeah, well, it's completely like denying that Alexander Dugin is a fascist. Really? Well, he said that he didn't like it. Oh no, it's just when fascism is when you say you don't like fascism and then found a fascist fucking party.
Yeah, Caleb's an idiot if he actually said that.
He was involved with
He knows. He knows. He knows what he's saying is a lie. He's a dishonest.
Yeah, it's bullshit and dishonest, because, like, Dugin specifically said that, like, fascism of the 20th century had its issues and he was criticizing it, but that doesn't mean he's not a fascist. Like, he's literally, like, the whole thing that he's trying to do is, like, bring back fascism, but, like, correct the errors that fascism made in the 20th century. Like, it's outright what he says.
I'm a communist, and you know what? It's quite an interesting thing. Communism of the 20th century had a lot of issues.
Yeah, for real.
It's my main focus. Do you know how I wouldn't define fascism? Fascism of the 20th century had a lot of issues, because that sounds like a butt appointment is about to come out of that.
Yeah.
But it has its strong suits. I mean, Hitler did like motorways. That was beneficial for the development of capitalism.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like, Dugin is a big promoter of Julius Evola, and Evola's the guy who said that he was an ultra-fascist and basically thought Mussolini and Hitler weren't fascist enough for his taste at the end of the war. So, Caleb is a dishonest piece of crap. He knows.
There's no depth to this piece of shit. All he did was argue semantics and then block and then mute me as I was trying to answer him.
Wow.
It's like,
I mean, that's why I'm surprised he even, like, just went on, like, to where he had the power, I guess.
It was the only way it was the only way it was going to happen. He wasn't going to come on here. He wasn't going to agree to a neutral third party. He's a coward. because then he wouldn't be able to do any of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he would be. You should have just pushed it though. But fuck it. Yeah. I mean, it still makes him look like a dishonest little clown.
Yeah, and honestly, like the whole like I love how Jason you called him out for doing the Vosh facial expression stuff because it was like Caleb doesn't look good when he's doing that. Like he looks like very fake. It's just like a really dishonest type of smug from Caleb.
Like I said, he's just he's a salesman. Like, and
Right.
I hate that about him. Like he feels like he's trying to sell me snake oil or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean he's
Oh,
like
great. Somebody just told me something he said after I left. He said you're not serious and I should put the weed down.
Put the
Because
weed.
apparently I'm a major
Oh,
stoner
God.
now. Oh God.
Like,
Can you fucking hear me all the way in the 1950s, Grandpa? How does a guy 10 years younger than me sound 40 years older than me?
Is he actually younger
Oh.
than you? I didn't.
well, so Jason has a joint once every fucking blue moon as a way to chill out. Just for those who now need to know what he needs to do privately because he keeps getting gaslit as a major stoner. I will tell you now, as someone who does smoke a lot of weed, Jason is not a major stoner. Jason is someone who gets all he needs out of it when he has it every now and then. It hits him like it would anyone who's not smoked weed very much in their life. I'll put it that way. Like it's like drinking for him. So it's not something he needs to do very often. It's something that's to take the edge off because he's got a lot of stress on his shoulders. You don't know it. You don't know what it's like being in struggle all the time because a lot of people who are online are middle class and petit bourgeois and aren't having to work 24/7. Don't
Yeah,
have to
you
deal
can really
with
tell like the
fuck
petty
all money.
bourgeois character of fucking Caleb and his little fucking posse. Like because like they wouldn't be
Excuse
hating so
me,
hard on
Reginald.
fucking marijuana.
Excuse me, Reginald, but I don't think I'll be partaking in any marijuana this evening because I think it would be, there would be simply gauche. That's something that the lower classes would do. Do you agree, Reginald? Fucking kill yourself.
I
Like,
thought
bro, like,
Caleb was
marijuana is, like,
against the
so fucking
secret
common.
British Kabbalah, but apparently not.
Like,
Yeah, I
dude,
mean
it's
this.
so fucking common among the working class, dude, and a lot of working class families even rely on it to like even get by. Like, I'm not
Right.
even talking about using, like I'm talking about selling, and I don't really have a problem with them selling it because I mean it's not like it's horrible for you
It
anyway.
helps me use it.
It's a
Yeah.
medicine, and Caleb's attacking medicine. I mean, that's what he's doing. He knows it. And it's just like, and I don't know what to say. I mean, like even some boomers now smoke, so like he's pandering to like some real old people or something.
I fucking bet you, like, if not openly, then at least definitely like behind closed doors. A lot of these fucking CPI guys, like, they start seething when they like start hearing about like states starting to, you know, at least try to legalize like marijuana and shit. Like, I bet you they're fucking
Right.
seething. Like, there's gonna be a bunch of fucking pot smokers all over the place now.
You know, behind the scenes, he's probably decrying the use of medical marijuana.
Right. I mean,
Real.
he's already tried to in like a double word speak. Like he already tried to associate marijuana with NK Ultra, but he did it in a way where he can give himself denial,
So
and then
the
he
thing
lied
is
about
he
NK
referred to a
Ultra.
different thing regarding crack. Like crack, and it was forced onto people
Mhm.
as like a selling thing, route stuff. And then so MK Ultra, they didn't go around selling like handing out loads of drugs to people. Do you know what they did, Caleb? They put LSD into people's water supply, not to get them addicted, to see what would happen. It's not the same thing. And I've never known the CIA to want to spread marijuana around. It seems more like something that the FBI has been doing quite the opposite about, and that's trying to get it off the street. Now, do you know what they do that you might also be getting confused around with and spinning onto people's heads? There are cases of confiscated drugs being resold into supply, but that is because the police position as a class traitor puts them in a polite position where they engage in a lot of lumpen petty bourgeois activities because they are the sort of judge, jury, and executioner of the lumpen. So they go around messing around and instigating the more powerful police. So it's sort of a spiral of shit because of the way the system works.
The Caleb comes off like a fucking boomer that like has only ever watched Reefer Madness.
So what's his solution to like what is his drug policy? Basically, just line them all up and shoot them all.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
he kind of
Reefer.
doesn't say anything. He's basically
Yeah.
quiet because he is anti-drug. But he
Yeah.
doesn't want to say it because he knows it's popular. Well, so much for him being a populist, huh?
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
excuse me, Caleb, but you know, some of us working and poor people, some of us like to go home at the end of the day and have a fucking drink to unwind because our bodies are fucking wrecked from working. I have tendinitis in both of my fucking elbows from lifting 50 pounds of frozen chicken all day for 9 fucking hours at a job in a fucking meatpacking plant, which is about 50,000 miles away from anything you white-collar privileged little Richie rich bitch have ever done in your fucking life. So excuse us lower-class people for needing something to just unwind at the end of a day of hard work, something you would know nothing about.
I mean,
And I also
fucking,
like the
what's wrong
fat
with
shaming
having a
as well.
spliff, man? Caleb, if you had a spliff, you wouldn't be such a fucking lunatic.
I also love the fat shaming as well that they put in with like working class people. I see in like the comments section like 4 or 5 different Mappanites basically saying Jason Unrue Maoist of the burger or something like that, and it's like fucking like fat like obesity is something of poverty. It's not something you should laugh at or be like, ugh. People eat like one of the reasons why I gained so much weight and why I have, become obese is because one, I'm fucking depressed. I work long hours. I work at a shitty service sector job in a pharmacy, work overnights, and honestly, I just want to eat because I want to dull the pain. Anything to dull the fucking pain. And I don't take drugs or drink. I just want to like something to fill the hole or void.
Yeah, and of course there's always like the issue, especially in like a lot of like lower class areas too. Like sometimes like grocery stores are kind of far, bro. Like the closest grocery store back in my hometown to me was like 10 miles away, but there was like fast food places like all over the fucking place, you know? Like
Right.
like
And
sometimes people just have to end up going there to like get some damn food, you know?
Yeah, and
right.
they can't and they don't have like servants who make them like 10 course meal dinners.
Right. Well, of course, we were dealing with a ginger, a ginger upper class Caleb Maupin who hates public transportation and thinks we should all be having like 2 cars or whatever. And
Yeah.
so,
Like
this is who we're dealing with.
it's something that really surprised me from where I grew up, like down in Yuma, like the corner of Arizona, where
Mhm.
there's like
Yeah.
tons of fucking poverty. There's like tons of fucking poverty there, right? When I moved to the Phoenix area, I was like flabbergasted noticing that there was like basically a grocery store on every street corner. I was like, what the
Right.
fuck? Why is there so many fucking grocery stores here?
Right.
It's not
And
like
even
that
then,
up
it's only like
there. What the
specific
fuck?
parts of town, but
Gotta walk 0.8 mile at least before I see a shop. She ain't
Well,
Arizona
I
anymore.
just realized I have to go make dinner.
Maybe
Alright,
some too.
cool.
Okay, I'll see you guys later.
Respect,
See ya.
Yeah,
brother.
see you later. Hopefully we can talk again. Peace. I guess we can finish this up then.
I sent him a screen cap of what you said, Flippos, in the chat, but he realized he had to make dinner before he could respond to it. Everyone was chatting. I didn't want to interrupt them, but I'll respond to what was said at the end when we finally make it to the end.
Sounds good.
Which is gonna happen sometime next year.
When I made the criticism, you were at the time pushing the whole Christian socialist thing.
So what? And there are Muslims in our group who
That's
push the Muslim
how it's
socialist thing.
relevant
And there are
to that
atheists in our group
specifically.
who push the
No, and you're not letting me
atheist thing.
answer
I mean,
again.
and how do you get from that I think I'm the savior? Because I quote the Bible and make the case that if you're
Okay,
a Christian,
can I answer
you
that?
shouldn't support capitalism.
Oh, okay,
How
so
in the
no,
world
you're not going to
do
let
you
me
get
answer
from
that.
How in the world do you get from that I think I'm the savior?
Because the way you've positioned yourself within the organization, not to mention as well as the fact, as was adequately demonstrated by Yankee Tanky, the amount of whatever Moppin says is true, whatever Moppin does is right, and there's no room for anyone to disagree with you.
There's plenty
So
of room
you
for
have
that.
set
I actually
yourself
know
up.
someone who was in the fucking, you know, the leadership circle of this group, almost kicked out. I won't say leadership, but central group, the bit where people knew a bit more than you would typically give to the average member. I know someone who was involved in that, and he got yeeted for daring to criticize Marpin too much. So, yeah, the American Frycore. Oh wow! I imagine showing support for Caleb Marpin. I don't know what the message said. Whoever deleted it. Can you Discord me what it said? Because I want to laugh at them for being fascists. It's a troll, I see. I was hoping that it would be like, you know, the Frycore coming out to show solidarity with Caleb, because that would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
I just saw your
Oh, he
thumbnail
said,
right
"Are
now.
you guys asking for a race war?" Oh, wow. No, you. I didn't use it effectively, but I know you do nonetheless. What was you gonna say?
Wait, someone who's asking for a race war?
The American Frycore.
Oh, yeah. Oh no, but what I was just saying is I just saw your thumbnail. It's just funny.
Took me like a whole about 20 minutes to make that. That's why I like. Well, you wouldn't. It wouldn't be relevant to you because you came later. But for those that answered the call instantly, it was why I like rang like 2 minutes before the thing started. Was because I was spending time making a thumbnail.
Shit's funny.
Super Marxist twins. Sounds interesting.
Up in that way.
Yeah, well, that's just utterly false. And
No,
you know, I
that's
don't
not
think,
false.
Yes, it is.
I'm sorry. Does he
Yeah.
have a grudge to pick about something else? Is he lying?
Who?
Yankee Tanky. You remember he was the
I'm-
person who left your
I'm
organization
not
and came
gonna-
out against
I'm
you?
not. First of all, most of what was put out there was personal grievances he had with another member, which I'm not even going to address in this venue, which aren't really relevant. And second of all, a number of his videos have been removed, which is probably an indicator that he no longer wants that out in the public sphere and no longer stands by such comments. So I'm not going to indulge Yankee Tanky.
Or you threatened him.
No, I didn't.
I don't know that you did, but I wouldn't put it past you.
You just said I threatened somebody, and now
I said, or you threatened him.
Or okay, all right, wow, this is really, really great. So based on the fact that I talk as a Christian socialist and I put out this book after publishing a Muslim book, after publishing a number of other writings in a majority non-Christian organization, you, based on that, claim that I believe to myself to be the savior, right?
No,
you're
you don't
calling
believe
me,
yourself
you're
to be.
accusing me of being David Koresh. You're accusing me of being Reverend Sun Young Moon and some kind of like insane, I believe you used the term cult, all based on the fact that I put together a book of the writings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Do you think that other people watching might think that's a little nuts?
No, because the way you've positioned it is that if you disagree with you, you disagree with Jesus.
No.
Yes, that's
No,
literally the
Jesus
whole point of it.
existed in thousands of years ago. I'm using this book to make a point that the idea, which is widely believed in among normal people in the United States, that Christianity and Marxism are complete
normal
opposites. This is wrong.
people.
And that if you're a Christian, you can
What
be a
kind of
socialist. In
language
fact, there's
is
many
that?
things in the Christian teaching that overlap with socialism. I think it's important that we put books out this. When we published this, there was a member of our organization who's from a Southern family. He bought 25 copies and gave one to every single member of his family. He said, I've been waiting for socialists to publish this kind of material. There are people who got this book and they said, I have been waiting for this for years. For years, I have felt like I can't talk to members of my family about socialism because they have this religious block. They say, oh, socialism's anti-God. Thank you for publishing this. I have gotten so much positive feedback for pointing out that the Christian religion and Marxism are compatible. I don't see this as trying to frame myself as the savior of humanity. I maybe you like got this book confused with another book or something. I mean, did you read this book?
Yeah, I also liked the original version by Charlotte Schnook better.
Who?
Charlotte Schnook, the one who actually collected all the quotes that you used in the 90s.
Who?
The one that you plagiarized your book from.
Who did I plagiarize from?
I've said the name Charlotte Schnook twice.
Okay, and how did I plagiarize from her?
Well, literally the basis of what you're saying, how it's Christianity is compatible with her. It was from her atheist writings in the 90s.
I believe it's from a lot of other people said it before she did. That's a very widely common thing to say, right? If you go back, there's a long history of Christian socialist movements.
Look at how his fucking body language changes. Like before he mentions it
now.
By Charlotte Schnook better.
Who?
Instantly, boom.
Charlotte
He's
Schnook.
not sure what's just been said. He's like, oh wait, no.
The one who actually collected all the quotes that you used in the 90s.
Who?
The one that you plagiarized your book from.
Who did I plagiarize from?
I've said the name Charlotte Schnook twice.
Okay, and how did I?
His brow is gone completely tense. Like, no matter how he changes his expression, he stays angry. No matter how he's keeping an angry face, he can't get rid of it.
He knows he's caught.
That's hilarious.
Well,
That's
yeah, I
very
mean,
timely.
yeah, I mean, Jesus was a pretty hip dude. BRB, I'll say that. But you know, Charlotte's credit the book. Caleb knows how to use copy and paste. It seems.
You want to know something that's very timely that's on my TV right now as I'm watching this? It's a documentary about Scientology, and it's just like so timely, like L. Ron Hubbard, and it's like we're talking about Caleb's cult.
Yeah.
Right.
L. Ron Hubbard's in Caleb's cult.
Well, if you go into Scientology enough, you'll start believing a lot of things.
Well, L. Ron Hubbard's supposed to be born again eventually, isn't he not?
Yep, in the form of Caleb Moffin.
I see. He is Caleb Moffin. I see. Well, to be fair, that would explain the scientific Christian Marxism. It's just Scientology. Control V equals new book for Caleb. Well, see, you're missing. See, I think you're taking out of context. It's Control C, Control V. That's a lot more work than just Control V.
True.
Plagiarized from her.
Well, literally the basis of what you're saying, how it's Christianity is compatible with her. It was from her atheist writings in the 90s.
I believe it's from a lot of other people said it before she did. That's a very widely common thing to say, right? If you go back, there's a long history of Christian socialist movements. In fact,
and yet the organization is so very, very close. Regardless,
I think, we quoted from the same Bible, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I did compile these quotes from the Christian Bible. So, I mean, she probably used the same quotes as I did. But, Keaton's in the chat. He compiled the quotes. He helped me compile them. I had other people go through them. I'd be curious to look at Charlotte's book and see if she used similar quotes. But I didn't plagiarize from Charlotte. Did she have Martin Luther King Jr. in her book?
Yes.
Oh, she did? Can you have the title of this book that I allegedly plagiarized from?
Just Google Charlotte Schnook, Schnook. Jesus was a socialist.
Okay, well, all right. So let's pull it up here. I'm going to. How do you? You said Schnook.
Oh my god.
Schnook.
Yeah.
Jesus was a socialist.
I know because I know her personally.
Okay, so she had the same title. I see an angel fire came up. Jesus on economics, Luke 12. Do we have Luke 12 in here? No, I'm just looking. You're saying that basically because I used the same quotes from the Bible that she did, that somehow this is plagiarism.
Seems very much like it to me.
Okay, well, I
keep claiming it's your work, but there's nothing original in there.
And Jesus on war, we didn't use that quote. I'm seeing Jesus on public prayer. We made a decision not to go there. I see Jesus on punishment. We didn't go there. And I'm also not seeing a book. I'm seeing angelfire.com, Cello, Fantails, Jesus, the Socialist HTML. I'm not seeing a book.
Yeah, it's from the 90s. It was a very small. It was a very
but
small
it would
book.
be it would be used. I don't see it on Amazon. I see
it's because it was published in the 90s and in a very small atheist group.
Was Jesus a socialist?
So you can't find my books on Amazon either. It doesn't mean they don't exist.
Well, yeah, but I'm not understanding. So you're alleging that because we use the same verses from the same Bible, that somehow we did that. And I just read you that at least on the angel fire, she's using completely different verses and making completely different points.
She's making most of the same points. She just has points that you're not making.
You can look at Schnook's work here, and you'll see that she talks about punishment.
He made decisions to leave out parts that were part of Schnook's work. The things that he said, we chose to leave those things out, were all things that are in Schnook's work. So it doesn't matter if he goes, they weren't in the work. It's like, yeah, well, we chose not to use that. We didn't use that.
Yeah, and notice that Caleb said that Keaton Mansfield brought up the sources for the book because Keaton Mansfield is like the co-author or whatever. So it's interesting that Caleb added that in. Because in the future, I bet you he'll just blame Mansfield.
Mansfield's fucking Mansfield's yeeting is begun.
Yeah, that's like Jimmy Dore style, blame somebody that's beneath you.
Right, yeah, Jimmy Dore.
It was my fucking cameraman. He was holding up cards with words on while I was trying to speak.
Right, yeah.
And I'll let you know, we've since fired him.
Right.
Don't worry, he's not going to appear on someone else's show, we hope, and turn around and explain the real case of the situation after we've lampooned him. We promise. We hope. We promise.
I'm not going to say that on there, but you know what I mean. I'm, certain thing while he knows it's false.
No, you
decide to go there. She talks about public prayer. We didn't go there.
You do talk about the same ones. She talks about ones that you didn't.
This is what you're alleging that I'm plagiaring from. I'm posting the link. This is all I found from Miss Schnook, and it's in there, and people can look at it for themselves and judge whether or not this is plagiarized. So there's the link. People can look.
All he's really saying is that
folks, click on that.
Put more information than he did. that doesn't
he didn't
like
even
debunk
confirm whether he had found the proper book or not. Like he just found what was close enough.
Yeah.
I won't say like Schnook.
I don't think that's it.
No, I'm just trying to make sure I got the right like person on. I don't know how to spell it right. Maybe it's UK.
Yeah. He said it a little bit ago, but
Oh,
try typing in Jesus was a socialist after that. And
I think it was Jesus is a socialist, not was a socialist.
spelled Jesus wrong.
Because I think Jesus was Caleb's, wasn't it?
But I think it is.
Oh, oh Jesus. Uh,
Yeah. I didn't even really hear the name that Jason said.
oh well,
Yeah.
fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could, but okay, we have um, we have a helper, a fetish magic. Maybe that means a fetish for magic. Who knows? Jesus. Yeah, Jesus was a socialist.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, from Angel Fire. He did get the right link.
Yeah. Oh, it's just a bunch of quotes from the Bible here.
I can make it easier. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh. Doesn't have the MLK in there. But it's very easy to just slip in MLK quotes after you've gone and stolen all of this and taken out the things that don't suit you. Interesting they
Right.
take out Jesus on war.
Right?
Right.
Yeah, they won't be able to support Russia if they put that in there.
Yeah, and I mean, and Caleb will end up. I'm predicting this. Caleb's gonna end up blaming Keaton Mansfield in the end. I mean, not today, but in the future.
For what? To like talk about those sources or something?
The book, because Keaton Mansfield's the co-author or editor of the book as well. The
Oh,
Jesus is Socialist, and
yeah.
Caleb already like mentioned that. He's like, oh, Keaton searched the work or whatever.
I wish I could add more, but Caleb is draining my brain right now. Like he's got this ability to like fog brain drain people. It's kind of like the Emperor in the first three Star Wars films, where everybody gets stupider due to his brain clouding ability, which is very good for the plot. So then everybody doesn't know what's going on. It's like, oh, that's kind of like what Caleb's doing right now.
Yeah, he Caleb knows how to kind of like dazzle people, right, drain you out.
No, I'm gonna bring Jesus Christ on board. Browse fucking images. Okay. Because Jesus Christ is money. People gotta know what rap that's from. Come on, the white people. It was supposed to be a way of helping interface with lower class, young kids, and so a bunch of white middle class people were like, we will say the N word in a video, and do rap while we do it, because that's what all the kids are into these days.
That sounds like something. That sounds like something Caleb would probably do if he was like in that position. He'd be like, "Oh, what are the kids doing these days?"
It's like it comes off like the type of shit that like Hillary Clinton would do.
Right.
Fucking sandflies keep flying up my fucking nose. No-see-ums, as they call them. Because you can't fucking see them. Fucking 1 to 3 millimeters big. It's fucking... Well, they're not entirely, like, not entirely unseeable. It's like, can not see them 9 times out of 11, and the times you can see them, it's barely at all, and it's pretty much out of the glimpse of your eye, and they're moving really quick. And because some of them like to bite, they're attracted to carbon dioxide. So that's useful for them. Not so much for me.
Link, Jason is claiming I copied that link, and you got this book right here, and people can decide for themselves whether or not me using it. Now, I don't see any quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. on this page of Charlotte Snook. You're claiming there's a book that was published that also contains quotes from MLK?
Is my understanding, yes.
Okay, so
Well, I haven't read the book. The book can't really be found.
But you haven't read the book?
Well, no, because it was a very small.
So how do you know I plagiarized from it?
Because it's basically ripped from the website too.
No. There's many places. If you type Christianity and socialism, you can find these quotes many different places. The Bible's been around for a long time. So
and many of those are directly plagiarized from her work as well.
What, the Bible is plagiarizing her work?
No, dumb. You know that's not what I said.
I know. I
said those other people that have used them.
I think anybody who would look through the Bible and try to make a case that there can be overlap between Christianity and socialism is probably
of course there is
cover the same quotes. And I'd be curious now, if she quoted Martin Luther King Jr., you might have a case to make. But you said you haven't even seen this book
because the book is out of print.
Yeah, but you haven't even seen it. So you're claiming I plagiarized from a book that you haven't even seen?
No, I said from the website. I specifically just said that.
So you're claiming I plagiarized from this website, which I will post in the chat again, which makes points that we don't make, which,
of course not, because you didn't cover everything that she did.
Yeah, and we're making different points than she's making. And we're, quoting the same
No, you're
Bible,
making many of the same points. She's just made some that you didn't.
Yes, because we're quoting the same Bible, Jason, and we're trying to make the same
I know. I went to Catholic school for 12 years.
A few minutes ago, you said there were quotes from Martin Luther King in it, and now you've admitted you don't even know about that. So you just lied on.
I know because I talked to her. She said she put in the book.
Okay.
I know Charlotte Snook personally.
I'd like to see this book. I'd like to see this book. I mean, did she have an essay by Keaton Mansfield in there? Did she have the Eugene Debs essay that we included?
What do you mean you copied an essay from Keaton Mansfield? Oh no.
That's really going
well. Of course, the stuff you guys added on top of it. Are you gonna tell me that you published a new book when you added a preview to Fidel Castro's writings and then slapped $18 on the fucking front?
Yeah, or wrote a introduction to Gaddafi's Green Book, and charge fucking whatever the hell you're charging for it.
Yeah, the Gaddafi book is like $8, I think.
Even though it's like all these books cited are free online, but Caleb, who doesn't need the money, will profit from them regardless, even for books that are, free online, PhD or on Marxist.org or whatever.
Right.
Totally not like a salesman or anything like that. And God, is anybody else getting sick of his like bitchy kind of like he's got this like bitchy kind of like thing to him. It's like it's hard to explain, but I just want to slap the shit out of him right now. He's just
Yeah,
so
he
fucking
has.
annoying.
Yeah, he has like a petit bourgeois kind of like sassy attitude, um, in that kind of sense of it, at least. Yeah, it's he's like, oh, well, what do you mean? You know, you haven't even read the book, or obviously I don't know, he's role playing. Caleb's role playing a
It's
bit.
like he doesn't understand that, like, when books go out of print, it sort of means that,
They don't exist anymore.
yeah,
Or
and when they're
or if
uploaded
they're
on the internet, it doesn't always mean that that's the full book. Because, I mean, there's bits of Satan at the Fountainhead missing.
yeah, or when he says that, well, the book's not on Amazon, like yeah, man, that sometimes happens. Um,
Well,
it-
I'm all about the scan. So there's a scan of it up, but bits of it are missing. So, in the sense that
right,
that would be the same for this. It would be missing bits and
right.
pieces because it's not a page post thing. It was just a list of stuff that had been taken from the book. And it wasn't.
Hmm.
If soy males are an actual thing, then mopping is the epitome of it. Uh,
Like before the debate even started or whatever, like I was like wondering, like, what's the point of the debate? Like, what is the topic here? Like, they're just talking about any random shit that just surrounds Caleb. Like, is he this self-centered? Like, I don't really hear them arguing about any type of ideas or anything actually interesting or useful to take from this. Like, it's literally just them talking about like stuff that surrounds Caleb and his stupid little group and his little books.
I mean, it turned into a dick measuring contest, essentially. I was going to call this the pissing contest, but I thought it might have been a bit endearing on the argument in and of itself. Like, because that sort of slanders towards Jason's end, but it doesn't matter because regardless of Jason not trying to be doing a pissing contest out of it, Caleb basically turned around and went, right then, Caleb. Right? Well, Caleb's talking to himself. Caleb basically went out from the start and went, right then, Jason. Uh, we're shoulder to shoulder. Time to get your dick out. And they started pissing. He's been pissing ever since. Jason has been trying to tell Caleb that, Caleb, man, come on. Why are you pissing all over the the floor while we're trying to debate? And Caleb's like, wow, I shit here all the time anyway.
For real. Like I
Yeah, he
thought they were
came.
gonna like start bringing up like some substantive points about like Caleb's bullshit reformism and like populism and all this other stupid shit. Like, and they would try to talk about like the efficacy of that and like how that's obviously and clearly not like what a vanguard should be doing. So, like, what the hell is Caleb actually doing here? Like in essence.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
no, apparently they're just
but
like having a piss and match, like you said.
yeah, but Caleb would then have to mute Jason the entire time though, so it wouldn't really be much of a debate.
Yeah.
What, you suggesting Jason's supposed to have the ability to respond? How dare you? I'm gonna mute you for interrupting. I don't actually have the power to mute him. I can mute him for myself, but I can't mute him for everyone. I mute him for the stream though. Silence you to the world. What will happen next, now that I've made that joke, Gengaros, is you'll have fucking be liberal messenger going, come on, man, I've heard the way he speaks to you like shit in those streams. You really need to come join me. Get out being involved with the people. They just don't know how to respect you like I do. But it won't be on Twitter
Uh,
like the last one was. What it'll be is it'll be the next time you make a new account on a different media platform, it'll just instantly pop up and be like, "Yo, want to buy
yeah,
some Babe Station subscription passes?"
it's true. It's true. He just popped up like right after I made a Twitter account. It is so fucking sus.
He's like so self-centered on himself all the time, which is why I'm not even really that surprised, to be honest, that this debate is like nothing. It's not even really a debate. It's just like Caleb trying to, like, in his mind, clear the air, and he thinks like, it's gonna stop after this, but like, no, his ridiculousness is going to continue after the debate anyway. So
Yeah.
we're still
And
gonna laugh at him. We're still gonna mock him. We're still gonna point out how his fucking stupid shit that he's doing is not really helpful at all in the socialist movement, and he's just like trying to look out for himself.
right, exactly. And I think more people, like we're talking about people outside of Caleb's cult, this is the important part, I guess. Like they'll see Moppin as like, wow, this guy's an asshole, and look at him like muting people, and it's not gonna go well for the new people coming in or not aware of Moppin yet, you know.
Yeah.
So Fetish Magic says the chat on Moppin's channel Def has that Christian devotion, Jesus camp feel for real, for real. Like fucking if you don't quit eating all the ice cream, Victor, and lose that weight, we're gonna send you to Christian camp. You're gonna learn to love Jesus just as much as you love ice cream.
I'm getting so sick of seeing that fucking gorilla and sun emoji.
Um, uh, they should stick to the Z. It's nice of them to be honest and equalize them to fascists.
Yep.
No.
Okay, because
No,
I'm not.
you.
Okay.
I'm not putting the
I
overlap
don't
here.
see why his essay has anything to do
We
with
did
it.
at the first draft of the book, we included the full Beyond Vietnam speech by Dr. Martin Luther King, but we discovered that we couldn't republish that because it's copyrighted. So we had to chop it up into quotations. So we did that. We used some different quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but I really, so we've gone from I think I'm the savior because I published this book to I
No, you're
plagiarized
oversimplifying
this
it.
book. I've called, what have I been called so far in this debate? Piece of shit, dumb. Where's the anger coming from, Jason? Can you tell that?
As I have already answered that question, you know that I wasn't referring specifically, like when I
where's the
said
anger
people,
coming from?
when I
The
said
rage.
other people, because you're a liar,
How am I a liar?
because you're a narcissist and
I'm
a
a
goddamn
narcissist.
fascist.
How am I a fascist?
Oh, you mean aside from being the ally of Alexander Dugin,
Well,
aside
Dugan's not a
from
fascist, and I'm not his ally. So I'm neither.
yeah, Alexander Dugin is a fascist.
No, he's not.
Amazing.
Oh, Dugan, I'm so glad you could let me come to your conference. This has been a dream come true. The Venezuelans, they told me to read Dugan, and my life changed ever since. Oh, I'm not an ally of
Right.
Dugan.
Right. And Caleb's actually like
Look.
told people to read Dugan.
Look, I went to conferences in Iran, and they told me to read Dugan. I went to conferences in Venezuela, and the people there told me to read Dugan. Dugan is a very influential conservative intellectual. He's not a Marxist.
No,
obviously.
anti-imperialist intellectual is what he calls it.
Yes, conservative anti-imperialist intellectual. But you should understand him apparently and read him. But don't actually say any of his quotes though. So
Exactly.
Anti-Atlanticism. I wonder if any armies have ever risen up on an anti-Atlantis. Any nations have turned to a specific political ideology under an Atlanticist an anti-Atlanticist political philosophy. I wonder. No. There was this man with a mustache. No, not Charlie Chaplin. And he had a problem with the Atlantic imperial power play dominance thing. Although they had a weird sex fetish for America until like 1943. Then they quickly renamed everything. Like they had a train called America, and they quickly renamed it.
Right. Yeah, but they still kept the Henry Ford poster on the wall.
Well, yeah, because Henry Ford worked with them until the end.
Right.
Henry Ford won a court suit against the American government when they bombed one of his factories.
Yep. Yep. And Caleb's friend, Haas, he said Henry Ford was a socialist, and then backtracked later on.
Wait,
But
Wait,
yeah,
what?
what?
yeah, yeah,
Snap.
yeah. That actually
Socialist
happened.
billionaire moment.
Yeah, it was during the Elon Musk crap when it first started. He said Henry Ford was a socialist, but then he backtracked. Yeah, I saw it live actually, or I saw the recap.
What the fuck?
Yeah, yeah, I know it's crazy. I'll find the clip later today.
That's depressing, to be honest. Like, he optics has the purposefully doesn't know him or just doesn't know him, but he's not very good at optics.
Yeah,
Noise.
The guy
Have you
who
ever read
literally,
the
yeah, I did
Okay, I'm
read
going
it,
to
by the
mute
way.
you. I'm going to mute
Okay,
you now
so
because
I can't answer once
this is
again.
an important point. The fourth political theory that Dugan invented is inherently anti-fascist. It is contrary to both
Oh my
fascism
God,
and
what an
communism.
idiot.
Dugan was a founding
fucking
member of the Russian Communist
bullshit.
Party.
I wonder what that sounds similar to, and it's above fascism and communism. Isn't that quite similar to how the fascists used to say they were above communism and capitalism?
Yeah,
Right.
it also sounds similar to Goebbels saying that unfortunately Mussolini sold out and fascism in Italy had become too bourgeois. It's very interesting.
Right. And yeah, it's very interesting for sure. And I mean if you read the fourth political theory, just even like half of it, it's even like worse. It's I don't even know how to explain it, but Caleb is lying. He's lying. I mean, just read Dugan, just read the book, and I mean you'll see that it is fascism. The fourth political theory, just another rebranding for
Yeah, it's just rebranding fascism as it always has been. Like
right.
that's ridiculous for him to say that it's anti-fascist. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yep. It's ridiculous. Especially when Dugan is promoting a red brown alliance in the book, like literally. So, like he literally says, team up the new right, and the alt left or whatever, and a few like green people. So
Yeah, but guys, it's fourth, not third. So checkmate. Guys, I told you to read Dugan to agree with me, not to read Dugan to disagree with me. Stop reading Dugan.
Yeah.
right.
That's what it'll be next. It
I
obviously
mean that's
didn't
what
work on you. You should just stop.
The Dugan, the self-admitted like conservative who wants to like push a more conservative world and shit, who thought that even fascism itself was not conservative enough, or
right.
fascist enough in general for that matter. That guy who also stated that Marxism is against all forms of conservatism, like Caleb as a supposed person supposedly pushing Marxism, claims that we need to read Dugan. that we need to implement Dugan into our analysis.
Yeah, and then in that fourth political theory book, that's where Dugan literally advocates for people of all political backgrounds to read Evola, Julius Evola, and there's no way any sane person can say that Julius Evola is a fascist, and Caleb knows that. So
A very
so that's
open
why it's
fascist.
yeah. Julius Evola is like the he's like another author that's like synonymous with it, basically.
I mean, you know, what do you expect from fucking someone like Julius Volver? Eh?
Party. He left with a split, and there was the National Bolshevik Party, which was led by Edward Lumanov, who was.
Wait, what?
It is
Oh,
contrary to both fascism and communism. Dugin was a founding member of the Russian Communist Party. He left with a split, and there was the.
Well, before then, he was in Papyat, which was a
right.
Russian nationalist party that used the flag of the it was the flag of the Tsar or the flag of the Holy Roman Empire, something like that. I think it was the
Yeah,
Tsarist eagle.
yeah, and
It's a good thing we don't have communists going around with like, flags of like Russian imperial eagle while claiming to be communist in 2022 or anything like that, or have like big Z posters everywhere.
right.
Well,
Oh, and
okay.
don't forget this part is that Dugin himself, he's been on the record saying that he used to be an anti-Soviet activist during the 80s. So, so,
Yeah, he was an
so,
anti-Soviet dissident. He used to sing Nazi songs in pubs.
yeah, and yeah. So what Caleb's doing is just like complete dishonesty. It's and I don't care if Dugan joined the revisionist like Communist Party and like for like 1 year or whatever. It's like Caleb's just so dishonest.
But guys, the National Bolshevik Party technically hasn't existed since 2007, so NASBOL doesn't exist anymore.
No,
Even
that
though
Russian
Lemonov renamed it.
nationalist party that likes to use Tsarist symbols. Um, Here is another image. Wherever the fuck it. Oh, it's underneath the thing. Okay. What? How is it? What the fuck? Why is it underneath it? It should be above it. That's weird. Okay. Oh, it's because it's a link. So, anyone who remembers fucking CPI might remember something interesting about this picture. You guys won't see it in Discord, but you already know I'm on a box. I showed it yesterday or the day before.
Right.
This guy from a Russian fucking Nazi party that likes to fucking uh, gauge off at the mythical paths of the Russian Empire and use a defending of our old culture, our old true culture bullshit that the Nazis did to go and pull from the 1400s, the 1600s, and the 1800s. And he's got the exact same flag that the motherfuckers were displaying during the CPI conference.
I guess they're just trying to play off people's ignorances and think and because they're thinking like, well, most people don't know about these, parties from like Russian Nazi parties from like the 1980s, so we can fly these symbols without them being, and we can do it down low underneath without them even noticing. I mean, it's the same thing as that guy from Donbass with like the Nazi symbols on his thing.
Right. Right, and the Luhansk rebels as well have some like Nazi soldiers. Yeah, and yeah, Caleb's just relying on people to not realize, especially because like the Donbass flag, it still looks similar to the eagle fascist version of it. Um,
Funny thing is the if you look inside the fourth political theory, when like Dugan goes over like their fates or whatever, he points out that he thinks that the third political theory, fascism, was defeated prematurely by an alliance from
yeah,
the second one, and he doesn't really give a criticism of it, other than he says like Hitler's like aggressive geopolitical agenda.
yeah, he basically just says like, oh, Hitler's geopolitical agenda was like too much, and that maybe like in the book he'll be like, oh, maybe some of the Nazis took it too far with racialism, but he doesn't necessarily even like, you know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily even attack that hard. He just means like, oh, they should have focused on other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically like he's doing like constructive criticism for them, like, oh, they should have
right.
taken things a little bit slower. They should have taken all
Hmm.
the Jews and deported them to fucking Madagascar or something like that. And it's like, yeah,
It's like he
he's
turned
doing
around and he was like, "Oh well, the problem with World War II is Hitler took the death of his mother to heart too much."
Yeah, and then the fourth political theory as well. He does bring up the Straserites kind of like randomly, so he's doing that thing as well. It's like, oh, you should do more of this. This is the type of fascism that like, it has some like that's what Dugan tries to do. Like he would bring up these random groups in the page because he writes really weird, to be honest. And then he
Hegelianism, Hegel rubs off on Hegelianists.
yeah. And so like he would
Sounds
just
pretty
bring up
gay,
the
that though.
Strasserist at random, and then he'd go like to the next paragraph and blah blah blah. So yeah,
National Bolshevik Party, which was led by Edward Lumanov, who was openly gay and wrote novels, was a punk rock novelist who was considered very liberal in Russia. And then Dugan left it, and he has something called the Eurasian Movement. Now, Dugan opposes both fascism and communism. He considers them to be Western ideas. And I don't agree with Dugan. He rejects historical progress. I don't. He rejects communism. I'm in favor of communism. He is against gay marriage. I'm for gay marriage. He's against abortion. I'm for abortion being legal. Dugan and I agree on Western capitalism and imperialism being a danger. And that's why I was happy to sit down with him. And I'd be happy to sit down with any anti-imperialist, because that is my job. As we talked at the beginning of the debate, my job as a person living in Western imperialist countries is to build an alliance against imperialism. And so I sat down with him, but I don't agree with him. And he's a postmodernist. I believe that there is objective reality and one truth. He says that in Russia, there is a different truth for Russia and he has views that are very, very contrary to mine. So I'm not Dugan, and Dugan isn't a fascist. So both of those points are way off, but go ahead.
Okay, well, you muted me while I was explaining how he is a fascist. You've completely misrepresented his book. Actually, right out in the book,
I'll go get his book.
Right into, he says, he literally calls for pushing fascism using using fascist and socialist symbols. Dugan was also part of an anti-Semitic nationalist group, the Pamyat, in the Soviet Union. Pamyat used the same version of the Russian flag that you do in support of Russia in your meetings. Oh, I see that when I get the answer, you walk away so you don't hear it.
I'm trying to get my copy of Dugan's book. I was going to read to you from
Okay.
it. I don't know where it is. But first of all, what version of the Russian flag are you referring to?
Well, I have a picture of it here. It's the one that's the black way back.
Yes, that's the flag of the Donetsk People's Republic. That's the flag that they chose.
Oh,
Yeah.
so just
It's
waving a
not.
flag used by a fascist.
Oh, the Donetsk existed. I mean, the Donetsk People's Republic existed in the 1980s. Apparently now. Did you know that?
Well, no, the picture of that guy waving that flag is from recent.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb's just gaslighting, and the Donetsk Republic is not a socialist republic anyway. So, yeah.
Party.
No, used by the communists and progressive Russian-speaking people of the eastern regions who declared independence. That's actually what their flag looks like.
You do realize that he's literally saying in the fourth political theory, he's pushing for fascism, saying to use fascist and socialist symbols.
He spends pages denouncing fascism. He talks about how fascism, because it's inherently racist and because it's tied in with the Holocaust, etc., has been discredited. That's basically
not
what he says.
decrescent on a socioeconomic basis.
And yet the substance of what he's saying
and
is
I'm not him. So it's like, there, again, you're doing this.
No, I didn't say you were him.
Talk to Dugan. Dugan said this. So therefore, and it's like,
no,
it's like,
can I answer
not
that?
what you say he is.
Can I answer
talked
that?
to him one time. I don't agree with him. So your logic doesn't add up.
No, can I answer?
I did not engage with Dugan, okay? We only touched penises 3 times.
Answer that. It's not because you talked to him one time. It's because you were palling around with him. It's because you want, and let me answer. And because he was so nodding along with you when you were talking about the bankers who were influencing things.
He called them a cabal. He called them a cabal of international bankers.
You would know that it's not a conspiracy by the bankers to ruin America.
No,
it's just capitalism. It's doing what is profitable. It's not something that's specifically targeted as trying to destroy America, which, by the way, you did specifically say in that thing. And that he was nodding along with you.
Okay. Now, if you read Lenin's book, Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism.
Yeah, where he's defining how it works.
That one of the defining aspects of imperialism is the dominance of finance capital. And Russia, as a country that was devastated after the fall of the Soviet Union and economically plundered, they have rebuilt themselves up, and they are fighting against the same
as an
big
imperialist
power that are destroying the lives of American workers, and that we have a common destiny. And that, yes, there are
common
big
destiny.
banks, big corporations,
Oh my
big
God.
oil companies that
Oh,
have a
choice
financial
of
interest
words
in trying to crush
there,
Russia.
Caleb. Choice of words.
Common destiny, build themselves up. He's about ready to say, make Russia great again.
It was said you would destroy the imperialists, not join them.
I mean, this clip was totally worth the debate. I gotta give props to Jason for that. I mean, like Caleb really exposing himself here. I'm gonna clip that later today.
Holy shit!
Wow.
That's funny. I mean, Jason probably didn't say it, but if I was here, like, I would say, like, oh, by building themselves up, you mean, building themselves up their own imperialist power, because that's the natural tendency of capital to begin with.
Yeah, it's like they've been building themselves up, and they've got themselves on their own feet, and they're fighting against the. He's literally doing what Lenin specifically said you should not. What's it? Let me get a good quote up, considering that Caleb likes to play that game. So, where do we go from here? No, I won't go for that one.
Yeah, I question Caleb's ever actually read that book too, especially considering his support for Russia.
So you see what he's doing. You see what he's doing here. He can both quote Lenin and do the opposite and say the opposite of what Lenin does at the same exact time. He's mastered the art of it.
Okay, so when I see Social Democrats proudly, no, that one's not the one I wanted. I can't find the one I was after. But Lenin specifically, Lenin specifically states that one must not back the enemy of an imperialist power blindly, for which that enemy, that imperialist power, might therefore be an imperialist power themselves. It was essentially in response to the Second International choosing to support I can't remember if it was Russia or Germany, because they were a progressive force apparently, and that they would, at least they are not the British. I think it was Germany, considering it came from the mouth of Kautsky, who was German.
Yeah, I mean, and even after Lenin, like even Hoja, like you even pointed out,
Oh, you got silenced because you mentioned Hoja.
Yeah, it could be a mic issue. Not sure.
But the response from the
Oh,
Pat
my-
Sucks would be, oh,
Sorry about that. My power went out. But yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even like after Lenin, Hoja even pointed out that, like, it's literally anti-Marxist to support a supposedly weaker imperialism in order to, like, fight against the other one. That's not what a Marxist-Leninist should be doing at all. Like, the whole point is oppose all forms of imperialism, not support the other one. This is literally like
Exactly.
patriotism,
so
all that shit.
basically so basically the Pat Suck argument would basically be something like this. Yeah, but no, you no wait. Okay, no, their argument would be basically like yeah, but Lenin was old and a long time ago, and we have to ignore basically everything he said
Oh,
and did.
yeah,
And
no,
Hoja was ultra left nutcase basically.
Hoja
yeah.
had smoked
I mean,
weed once, so we're not allowed to listen to him. I mean, the real answer is yeah, but, no, but, yeah, but, no, but, yeah, but, no, but.
The funny
yeah, I
thing
mean,
is that these same fucking idiots that will try to, like, attack Hoja as being ultra left will try to use him as for, like, quotes and try to, like, take him out of context whenever he talks about, like, patriotism, because, like, he clearly obviously, like, supports national liberation movements, and, like, and in those type of national liberation movements, patriotism obviously applies to those, but they'll take those quotes out of context completely, show like one or two
right,
sentences
exactly.
from them, and then they'll say, like, oh, see, now we have to support it here in this brutal imperialist settler colonial country.
Yeah. I mean, these people would say that Lenin was being dogmatic or something like that, or that, us quoting Lenin is dogmatic in the case of when we're talking about Caleb supporting imperialism, right? I mean, it's very typical of them. You're either dogmatic or you're ultra left, or the other one as well. You don't understand 21st century capitalism or whatever. Or 21st century socialism, because apparently in the 21st century it somehow changed drastically, where that you have to support like Dangism or whatever.
Yeah, it does not make any damn sense.
Right,
That's why we can't have Soviet style socialist economy anymore. We have to have market economy, and
right, yeah,
he's pretty much doing the same thing that the Nazis that he said the Nazis did. Basically, like, we're gonna have the corporations still in power, but they're gonna just be patriotic to the state, and we're gonna just like give them directions of where to go.
right. And Right, exactly. Oh, and then they'll cheer on that. Oh well, it's a party member controls the company, so therefore it's okay.
And
Yeah,
once
it's just
again, like,
ridiculous.
and there was literally a Nazi party official in like every single corporation in Germany too.
Right,
So
right.
The crazy thing is though, is that like their entire fucking ideology hinges on like all of the worst ideas from like previously existing like socialist movements and even like figures like I've even been seeing some of them outright lately, at least outright fucking claiming like Kautsky, you know, like they're repping him. Like it's not even
Yeah,
like hidden at this point.
right.
It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. I'm not
and
surprised by that at all.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
like
also
they'll take
they're
from Kautsky, they'll take like Three Worlds Theory, they'll
they're
take the
also
social
repping
patriotism.
they're also
Yeah,
repping Earl Browder as well.
yeah, they're repping Earl
Yeah,
Browder, and on top of that, they're like fucking I also noticed them lately, and Haas is doing it too. They're just like outright like dogmatically following Dimitrov, even though like any anti-revisionist has already pointed out like how Dimitrov was like pretty much revising the Marxist-Leninist position in terms
right.
of like supporting nationalism and stuff. Like if you actually read like the this is before I even read like some anti-revisionist responses to the Seventh Congress. Like when I just read the Seventh Congress itself, I was like, this does not sound right at all. This doesn't sound anything like the Marxist-Leninist method. Because
Right,
in there, he basically was like pointing out that like the fascists were like utilizing like nationalistic symbols and they were just promoting nationalism generally. You know, like
right,
they were promoting like a nationalist program, and Dimitrov's response basically was like, we have to be more nationalist than they are. Like horrible response.
Yeah, just like how we have to be more patriotic than the Patriots.
right. Yeah, it's so ludicrous too. Like this idea that communists are going to like out patriot the I don't know. I mean, like out patriot American right wingers or something. It's ludicrous. It's
Yeah,
um and it hinges back with these Pat socks. It's like their idealist like notion of patriotism and in the nation. Like they want to reinterpret it to mean the peoples or whatever, you know. But I'm
yeah,
sorry, but that's not what patriotism is. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like on top of that, like in terms of like the national movement, like Lenin pointed out time and time again that the national movement, like it ends for at least for communists, it ends once like capitalism is established. You know, once a country is established there.
Right.
So like, and he even points out that like opportunists will he specifically even points this out like he says opportunists like will try to blur the lines here and will try to say that the national movement continues into capitalism and onto the destruction of capitalism, but that's not at all what it is. Like the national movement is destroying the old feudal system to bring about a capitalist system. He
Right.
literally says like the entire concept of the fatherland is outdated in capitalism. And that's why he
Exactly.
says at that point, he says at that point in the capitalist period that the working men have no country. That's literally what Lenin says.
Right.
I
But
guess
but they
like
all.
he's
Mhm.
somewhat wrong though on there being no importance to national struggle and socialism. He's somewhat wrong because I think a
How?
lot of the humanism in early Marxism has them believe that they would just take over the system and flip it on its head. So they would flip imperialism into socialism. or colonialism would be more so the right word to use. And so a lot of Lenin's rhetoric sometimes seems to flop around that point when it's like more so the case is that in the first world, nation has been whittled down, and the importance of nation can only really be driven forward in the first world once the right and freedom of nation to all the nations we're oppressing has been gifted back. It's like we have our own nation plus some, and as has been said, the importance of cultural nationality has dwindled in the first world because of how much we're so focused on oppressing everyone else. So it's, as anything, it's one of them ones where you can't deal with a hard absolute, because it's so fluid around the world, depending on the different positions you're at, and depending on how you're looking at the national question.
Well, that's basically what London's position is, though, is that like there's certain countries that have already been established in capitalist society that have inner nations that are oppressed inside of them, which is why this right to self-determination was so important, especially in Russia at the time. They had so many oppressed nations within Russia itself.
Yeah, the
Right.
prisoners of nations.
Which is also why it's super important to support it here in the United States as well. But I mean, a lot of the Patsock types, they want to just ignore it in any way. Like I, I posted that tweet from that fucking Nosbol idiot in the chat, I think yesterday, where he was basically saying like, "Yo, we need to drop all talk of decolonization." Horrible, super reactionary bullshit that this dude's saying. And he's trying. That guy dares like put Lenin on his fucking profile.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
Lenin, the guy who loved the Nazbols so much, he wrote a book about them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he named it a really nice name: left wing communism and infantile disorder. I don't think he liked the Nazbols.
Yeah,
I
and
don't.
one of the Nazbol ended up being convicted of national chauvinism in 1938. So I just don't remember which name. I gotta relook at it, but it was probably Uldistrov. Um, yeah,
Well, I mean, the Nazis attacked most of the early Nazbols when they came to power anyway.
right.
Um, they there was an arousal of working with each other. They tried, that being the Nazbols, I mean, but the Nazis weren't interested.
Hmm.
At least
Yeah. Oh, one
they
thing.
pretended to
Yeah.
be it for a bit.
Right. One thing I forgot to add is like when Caleb keeps bringing up Edward Limonov as like proof that like I don't know that like the Nazbol Party isn't fascist, but I had to break the news to you. Like the Nazbol Party literally was like a Red Brown Alliance type party, and like and Eduardo Limonov used to be an anti-Soviet writer until the fall of the Soviet Union, and he did some like left adventures in Yugoslavia. So like, it's like I don't know where these Pat Sox think they can like gaslight us. Like I guess because Lemonov might be in the LGBT community. I mean, so I don't know. It's
Ernst Röhm was he was into sausage too. He's all
right.
about them
And, and
sausage parties.
and also, just I'd like to point out too, the Communist Party of the Russian Federation, not the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Big difference. Its
Exactly.
first platform, I think, was written by Alexander Dugin himself, if I remember looking up.
You
And
sure
they
he didn't
also
write the
did,
first
Yeah.
and
platform of the
they
Soviet
did.
Party?
What was that?
You sure he didn't write the first platform of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union?
um, and they also did a literal red brown with like a literal Russian neo-Nazi party in the 90s, but hey, they'll never
Yeah.
bring that little thing up.
Right. Yeah. And like this absurd idea that like we have to support the revisionist, like Communist Party of Russian Federation, because there's other parties too, but that's the one they're referring to. Is like it's just completely ludicrous as well. Like it obviously has tons of baggage in its history, starting from 1991 or 92. So yeah, it's just like a weird gaslighting they're doing, or Caleb's doing.
Yeah, I don't see like what kind of legitimate communist party would be in full support of the fucking national bourgeoisie that rule over the state.
Yeah, exactly.
But come on, guys, we're socialist billionaires, so we support the Communist Party of the Russian Federation. We support the Communist Party of China with their socialist billionaires.
Oh, and the
You,
other
you, you guys, you guys view socialism as like this, it's like this, the dogmatic kind of thing. You got to view it as more like a construct, this abstract construct. Look at
right.
socialism in centuries from now, but not. But actually,
Yeah, I
we're
mean,
already under socialism, so it's everywhere. So we're already living under it, according to Haas.
yeah, yeah. Like Caleb's version of communism is like class collaboration, like billionaire part. Um, yeah,
Yeah. What's it? Um, I'm boiling up and my brain hurts, so I think I'll continue with this tomorrow.
oh, I
Sounds
see.
good. Sounds good. Yeah, we'll do a part tour.
Yeah, of shooting myself while watching. Watching Caleb mopping.
Yeah,
Technically are both the same thing anyway. So by watching Caleb mopping, I, by account, have already shot myself multiple times. Mopping watch is not good for your health.
yeah. I took like 3 hits from my vape like an hour ago, just to keep up with the madness from Caleb.
Every time he hits the vape, the closer and closer he gets to having nuanced opinions of age of consent. Nice little hipster joke for you.
Oh, I hope I'm not like Voss. God forbid.
See, there's a difference between someone who vapes and someone who's a vapor. It's like the difference between playing Vimeo games and being a gamer. Tomorrow you'll be violating the Sabbath, you sinner. Morpin, probably. Now you see, Morpin's a Protestant. He's all about violation.
Yeah.
Pretty much how they come to exist. Well, Jesus said you're not supposed to get rich off the back of other people. And the church is already taking taxes. So, these priories, what if? Just thinking. So the church is already tied to the state. What if those buildings belong to the state and they were used to produce and the king owned them and he profited off their production? That'd be a wicked idea. Catholic Church says no. Fuck. What we gonna do, Henry? King Henry VIII fucking leaves. No, it wasn't about being married because, as history will tell you, he just killed his fucking wife when the Pope turned around and said no. Like, the Pope let him off a couple of times, but then he just went and started killing wives when the Pope wouldn't let him get away with it. He changed the church because fucking privatized the priories. So Caleb Maupin comes from that mentality. So if Christianity tells him to do something, it's only a suggestion.
Right. Yeah.
Well, man, Jesus Christ is only being suggestive when he said, "Love thy neighbor."
It was also being suggestive when he said oppose the Romans and then imperialism in Judah or whatever it was called at the time.
Yeah, Galileo or Judea as well.
Well, Judah is the name of Judas. That's what Judah is.
Oh yeah. But I meant Judea, as in like
The
it was
Roman province of
yeah, because it was split into it was between supposedly Galileans or Galileans, and then Judeans was like it covered like Jerusalem a little bit, I guess.
I
But
don't know no goddamn geography. Is that not the study of rocks?
yeah. Well, I
this
gotta.
is
Mhm.
yeah, this is too confusing for me right now. Yeah, I'm gonna hit the hay right now. I feel like we've covered enough at least for today. We'll see what kind of craziness Caleb says tomorrow.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's already been a hit show. Like, we can't just end in one view, and we gotta rake in all those fucking subscribers that pay all those views that pay nothing because fucking YouTube will never monetize me. I to be honest, I think the moment I put 2 Arizona videos with Nazi fucking symbols on them, I was pretty much done for then. It was anti-Nazi in its content, but the YouTube algorithm does not care. I think you need to get like 1,000 or some subscribers before YouTube will say you're allowed money anyway.
yeah, 1,000 subs, and it's still up to them. And they demonetized Jason, but they didn't demonetize Hawes or Caleb. So that should show you how it is.
So
Um,
if I start praising gorillas and calling Mongolians Anglo-Saxon slurs, um, eating sausage is one thing and being a sausage is another. My G. Caleb is an absolute sausage. You're correct. You were back as we were ending. Sausagian. A sausagist.
honestly, Caleb is like he's like a ginger Ted Cruz. Um, I don't know. I mean, at least to me, he does with the car salesman pitch.
Yeah, I was on
Yep.
about Haas, but that was more of a side note.
Hmm.
Responding to the chat.
I guess
Right.
I guess I'll end this by saying like I could sum up my debate. If I were to debate Caleb, the only thing I would say is no. You?
All I have to say, Caleb, is ooh.
Bro, I'm skipping through like some of the later shit and like, oh, never mind. Like just the stuff that Caleb brings up something that literally debunks his own point. It's pretty funny.
So
Interesting.
Franz de Leon and his lumpen proletarian aristocracy theory of the 17th world,
Mhm.
when he analyzed the Battle of the Italians, in 1894.6, which is conveniently after De Leon's dead, I think, but before. Watch me be wrong about that, but before Franz Fanon was born. Gotta hit it right in the middle.
Oh god. Oh god.
Peace, everybody.
Caleb is
I'm gonna get some sleep.
Franz
sounds
de
good.
Leon. Auf
Caleb's
Wiedersehen, as they say in France. I'm in Germany.
Mhm.
See, it's funny when you're intentionally wrong, because, you know, the funnest part is sitting and waiting to see if people will is it straw man you gaslight? I don't know. People will quote snipe, and just take that snippet.
And then mute you.
I'm committing to comedy. That's really the poignance of it all.
Yeah, Caleb's like ranting on Twitter, but yeah.
Jason, do you want to say anything before I end this?
Nothing I haven't already said.
All right then. Well, we'll continue the rest of this shit tomorrow because there's the other half to watch and nitpick fucking Caleb because I was enjoying this. I will say one thing before I end this is that it was interesting watching his entire body language change when you brought up Charlotte Schnook.
Yeah, I suspect he might have known.
I see. It did look like he was caught off guard for a moment. I was kind of laughing where I'll end this shortly, but like where Caleb tried to bring up, oh, Keen Mansfield. He somehow Caleb said that Keen Mansfield looked up the work or the Bible quotes or whatever. So he's already setting the motion to slowly throw Keaton under the bus if he gets
Keaton
backlash.
Mansfield, a guy who couldn't be asked to even do the smallest bit of work he was asked for by the PCUSA, went through all the effort of reading the Bible to find quotes. Fuck off. I think Keaton Mansfield has read like a quarter of the fucking Bible, if that. Like, fuck all. Like, the guy, like, there are people like Kwame Ture who's read through like the Torah, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the the Quran, the Christian Bible, and I think he'd read through the Jewish writings. I'm not too good on the name. I know the Torah, but that's actually just teaching. So the Torah is both written and verbal, but there's more than that. Kwame Ture gone and read all that shit. And Kwame Ture ain't even religious. He's atheist. My fucking Keaton Mansfield, I don't even think he's fucking fully read his own religious book. And we're gonna believe Mandem's gone quoted it all out for his Caleb Maupin book. Nah. Keaton Mansfield, a fucking Zoomer. He's younger than I am. He's like, what, 19, 18? You know what he's gonna have done? He's gonna have got his phone out. He's gonna have Googled Jesus was a socialist, or was Jesus a socialist? And then a few results comes up. Jesus was a socialist. No, could even do the put it to the test and just type in was Jesus a socialist into Google and see what comes up. Because you know what people are like. First few Google research results. No, it don't come up straight away. Although something similar comes up. But if you type in it's not really pinnacle or anything because the algorithm Google uses, it relates to what you look up a lot and it's regional. So we'll show different things for Americans. It's not going to show me an American person straight away because I'm in Europe. It's going to show me shit that's more effective towards my area. But nevertheless, Weapon your own intro on it doesn't make it your own thing. Oh, did Charlotte use Keaton Mansfield's introduction? It's like, oh, well, that makes it different now, so it's not plagiarism, okay, guys?
Yeah.
No, but you better be careful, Jason, or I'll mute you.
No, Keaton Mansfield. Yeah,
What was you gonna say? Sorry.
there's a lot more to unpack with that guy.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, Yankee Tanky's video has apparently been taken down from what that stream seemed to imply.
Well, the Yankee Tinky guy, he goes back and forth. He one day he's criticizing the whole camp, and the next day he deletes a video, but he goes back and forth. That's the problem with him.
Oh, yeah, I like how I brought up how he said, yeah, it was a cult, and Caleb goes, well, it was mostly about personal things with him and other people. Well, I didn't talk about those. I didn't even mention those.
Right.
I wish I covered that fucking Keaton Mansfield video on a stream before it vanished. Should have downloaded it.
Yeah.
Caleb, he's doing like a slimy ass fucking thing where he's talking about how apparently Mao wanted peaceful transition to socialism or whatever the fuck. No, that's not the
Politicians
case.
say shit like that all the time.
I'm
Oh,
reading
we're
the
trying to
document.
avoid war. No.
Yeah, I'm reading the document here that he even brought up, Long Live Leninism, and this completely rejects his idiotic bullshit, slimy little fucking narrative that he tried to push. He literally says right here where it says Mao pointed out that he said Lenin therefore pointed out that the quote, the peaceful course of development has been rendered impossible. A non-peaceful and most painful course has begun. Caleb's a fucking liar.
Right. Yeah,
It says right here, and literally in the paragraph that he quoted, it says, however, this sort of opportunity is always, in Lenin's words, quote, an extraordinarily rare opportunity in the history of revolution, quote. Like, such a fucking joke, Caleb.
yeah, he's counting on his followers to not understand any of the context, or it's just typical like small sentence snipe streaming, or yeah.
Yeah.
Understanding context would imply would also imply an understanding of nuance, and Caleb must obscure all nuances.
Oh, by the
And
way,
Jason, you could have just like literally pulled up this document and read the rest of it to him and humiliated him, because this is literally what it says right when he cut off the
yeah.
fucking
Also,
quote.
I just got a notification from SMG John. Caleb's going to the stream and deleting comments.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, his mods will probably ban all the dissenters on the
They
live chat.
banned
At
my
least.
second account for putting pigs in it in the chat before the stream even started.
First of all, I don't even know if this is even written by Mao. Maybe, I don't know. It says it's by the editorial department of Hong Hui. I don't know if he was part of that, I guess, whatever, but it even says here, like right after Caleb cut off, it says when in a given country, a certain level of political power is already encircled by revolutionary forces, which it's not, or when in the world a certain capitalist country is already encircled by socialism. In such cases, there might be a greater possibility of opportunities for the peaceful development of the revolution. But even then, the peaceful development of the revolution should never be regarded as the only possibility, and it is therefore necessary to be prepared at the same time for the other possibility, i.e., non-peaceful development of the revolution. Caleb is such a fucking little liar. You should post the rest of that quote on Twitter or some shit just
All
to
right,
point that out.
drop it in the chat.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot of this. I think this is where you read it from. The one that he posted.
Yeah, well, he has multiple tweets up, but yeah, I posted the first one at least.
No, I mean the thing that you found.
Yeah, I'm posting it right now.
Oh, okay.
I posted it in the
All
chat.
y'all Americans sound the same.
And I'll post the document.
Yeah,
I
that's the
highlighted
link.
the ones. I highlighted the part specifically that Caleb didn't read. What a joke.
Yeah, it's typical from Caleb.
I mean, we lost the Philadelphian for a Canadian. They're basically the same thing, right?
Like this document does not agree with Caleb's bullshit.
Well, it says Marxism on it. Your
It
thing
says
reads that
Marxism
as
on it, and it says
copyright of
peaceful
Caleb
move.
Maupin, Caleb Terrence Maupin, or whatever the fuck the T stands for. Tosser.
So like, literally the conditions that Mao, supposedly if Mao wrote this, whatever, the person that this document is saying, or the conditions that they're saying, are not conditions that are currently being met in the United States. So, trying to advocate peaceful transition to socialism is completely nonsensical. Is completely fucking irrelevant. Has nothing to do, and it's literally counter-revolutionary. Like first of all, like look at the two things that he says here. Certain political power, or certain local political power, is already encircled by revolutionary forces. That's not a thing here in the United States. There isn't like communists are not like they don't have major political power here in like local areas. And
What?
it's a capitalist country that is also not encircled by socialism. There's no socialism surrounding the United States. That's like threatening to like, invade them or some shit, or like forcing them to transition to socialism through peaceful means. That's not a thing either.
Um, you're lucky, Falcon. I I forgot about messaging you on this, but we still got part 2 to do, and we haven't even gotten deep into like Haas hasn't been pushed on yet because Caleb has actually chosen specifically to ignore Jason turning around and stating that Haas is not a good person to support because he wouldn't push back on that. If Jason made an under his breath comment, on which he can push back on, you'll see him push back on that. When he mentions Haas, Caleb, because Caleb mentioned he supports Haas, and Jason says, "Oh, it's not really a good person to brag about. It's not good to brag about." Caleb doesn't want to continue the bragging. He's for all of what he doesn't know about optics, he knows a little bit about optics.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, he also brought up Jackson Hinkle as like another like how
Ooh,
he
great! You got Jackson Hinkle on your side.
Jack of
right.
Hinkle.
We
Yeah.
have Jackson Hinkle in our coalition of other people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Jackson Hinkle famously like knows absolutely nothing about Marxism.
Right. Santa Barbara Millionaire Trust Fund. Like Santa Barbara is like literally a rich place in Southern California, and where he lives is like on a cliff.
Trust
And
fund
there's
babies of a feather flock together.
yeah,
Also, I love how they literally like talk about the duality of like the nature of the petty bourgeois, but they reject any type of duality among the lumpen proletariat. That's hilarious to me.
right.
Yeah. Also, a lot to be said about Marpin's post-debate sermon too. He clearly read from a script that reveals the uncritical, spontaneous Christian formations that symptomatically plague the Pat Sock cult. Um, what's it? But I need to get some rest, so we'll leave it here. But we'll continue this tomorrow, and I'll remember. I won't forget to invite you this time, Falcon. I'll remember to bring you in. If anything annoys Caleb, it's when we get the natives involved. Some unknown reason why this white American who really likes this Russian nationalist called Alexander Dugin. This white American, he doesn't like red or brown Americans too much. He likes red brown politics, but he doesn't like red and brown Americans because that would involve supporting black politics.
Yeah.
But you know, um, what's it? We'll leave it there. Fucking I guess what's it? we should be like one of those TV shows where we leave like a question and we will somehow give you the answer in the next show. Although I'll forget I've done this joke, so come in the next show. You gotta remind me. But who sucks whose dick? Does Caleb suck off Keaton or does Keaton suck off Caleb? And we'll find out the answer tomorrow. Maybe. We'll maybe find out the answer tomorrow. But we'll see you then. Hasta la vista. Baby? Question mark.